here that I can refer to in the text. So
We're live.
Okay, well let me go
Live
do
on.
all my chicken stuff.
Brent probably should say bueno.
Bueno.
Bueno, we open the show. Yay!
We've got it. Right, we're done here, everyone.
It's
That's
official.
the show.
Yeah,
Well done.
it's official. We've done it.
I'm probably even feeling extra bueno because I went to a Mexican rock concert on Cinco de Mayo.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
I forgot it was Cinco de Mayo. Wow, I've been out of the States for a while. You know. But what was like, it was a cool concert, or was it
Oh, yeah, it was amazing. I'm so glad I went.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. I'm going to sit here and drink. I'm kind of thrown off now that Pete's going to be introing the show. I don't know how I feel about that. No, I'm happy, but
You're gonna sit there and enjoy it.
Oh, I don't think so.
No, I knew it was gonna get that reaction, so that's why I did it.
You get to talk all about Xbox.
I'm glad about that. I'm very glad. And I do, you know what? I am an unabashed, unashamed Xbox fangirl.
I feel
that's
like
why I'm boosting.
I would have defined myself as an Xbox fan at one point, and as time goes on, I feel like I've become less and less attached to one kind of console.
That means maturity and growth, which I don't possess. So that's very
good. At least you can admit that.
Yes. But see, the funny thing is, that's exactly how I used to be about PlayStation, the way I am about Xbox now. During PlayStation, like...
okay.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, during the PS2, PS1, PS2 generation, yeah.
I started dropping off on PS3, and then Xbox 360 came out, and I was like, oh...
Would it surprise you to tell you that my first real love of consoles was Sega, not Nintendo?
Well, I am surprised, but also, well, I did love
First game
Sega.
I played was Super Mario Brothers, but the first console I owned was the Mega Drive, or Genesis to Yankees.
Yes. I used to run
my
home from
family
school
never had a Sega.
Oh.
I might have had a cousin that had one at one point, but that was it.
Oh my gosh.
That was my only exposure to it.
My brother was way older than me, and he bought it, and I just like would sneak in when he was like at work after school. I'd be like, "It's my turn." My turn.
I'm playing the Sega now.
It's my turn. And we played X-Men, Clone Wars, and Aladdin. I played that so much.
Oh, Aladdin on the Mega Drive was amazing.
And of course, all the Sonics, you know. Oh, Mortal Kombat.
Because that's the better version.
Yes, it is. I was waiting for you to say that. And we had Street Fighter, but...
Special Champion Edition.
That's exactly what it was. And I just didn't gel with it, you know.
Did you by any chance have a 6-button controller or the standard 3-button controller?
6-button, because my brother's a dork.
Okay. Well, you should have definitely enjoyed it then, because it's not the version where you had to press the start button to switch between punches and kicks.
No,
freaking stupid.
It was still like, I've never been really into fighting games. To be fair, if I'm being very perfectly honest, the reason why I loved Mortal Kombat so much, besides of course obviously the gore, was because their female fighters were like so kick butt, like Melina and all. I mean, they're so cool. Not that Chun-Li isn't cool; she's very cool, and Cammy, but they're very kind of girly, and you know. Whereas like...
What, with those big old legs, those big thighs, those thighs that could crush your face.
Crush watermelon. But like Melina, you know, she could take her face off, and she was like so strong and cool and stuff. So.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about it, is it was more edgy, so therefore it probably got to you a bit more.
And I was
Street Fighter was a bit more safe.
I'm so cool and edgy.
Pretty much, yeah. Hang on a sec. I'll be back.
I don't know about this chair.
There we go.
This chair is very rockable. Rockabilly. My other one didn't move as like this. But I sat down. Okay, so I didn't know that it went back, and I sat gaming services. What? Okay. And I sat down and I went whoop.
Oh.
It's like, oh, I don't like this. I don't like this. I don't like this. But it's supposed to lay completely flat so you can like sleep in your office and stuff.
What, your chair?
Yes, but I don't sleep, so I haven't slept in like 4 days.
You probably should actually start to try and get some sleep at some point.
No. Yay. Hello and welcome back, Brent.
It's been a while.
Brent already said bueno to start the episode. So
We'll start bringing the chair
live on Twitch anyway.
yes, I'm like an old grandma. I really kind of like rocking this. This is kind of cool. Maybe I should.
I could see you getting used to it and liking it. Sorry, Brent. Apologies for
The
that.
favorite gaming chair I ever had, swiveled, rocked, and had a footrest.
Oh wow!
Oh yeah.
Oh, I would never leave it. Give
To
me
be
one
fair,
of those controllers. I would be like,
Yeah, so one of the chairs that I sit on downstairs when parents decide to go on holiday is the same thing. It's got a footrest. It reclines everything. It's amazing.
holy crap!
But it's a front room chair, so I'm not bringing it up here.
No.
I don't ever leave any, like, I have 2 rooms. My office, my work room when it's not destroyed, and my bedroom. I got all new furniture a few months ago. I never sit on it. It's still as like it just came off the furniture room floor.
There's no harm in that.
Well, but it's just
Like someone's going to go to your house one day and clear it out and go, look, there's a brand new sofa.
well, or if I ever have parties again, which I miss greatly, but if I ever make friends and have parties again, they'll be like, this is some like stiff ass furniture, Kylie.
Yeah, you need to break it in somehow.
Gotta jump out on a little.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Yeah, that's probably what you should do. Is you just go full Kevin McAllister and just jump on every piece of furniture in your house.
Go full.
Except the
Kevin.
tables, they'll break.
Oh my gosh! Not my.
Tell you for that from experience.
Oh, really? Did you jump on the table, Pete?
I did. Well, my dad owned a furniture business, so
Yes.
destroying furniture was probably my most fun part.
Oh yeah, because you do get to destroy furniture.
Yeah, the stuff that we couldn't sell, it would be like,
Yeah.
right, shove it out the back, smack it up, break it into bits. So
We're
then,
talking about furniture, right, Pete?
I'm talking about the Prodigy song, "Smack My Bitch."
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
No,
Oh,
because I was listening to Prodigy on Thursday to get me right in
Oh my
right in the mood
goodness.
to finish work.
I love Prodigy. I'm not gonna lie.
Overrated.
I knew anything I say, Pete's gonna be like overrated. They are cool. Wait,
No, I think they're good, but I think a lot of their album stuff is quite poor.
have you? Well, that's probably true. But have you ever seen the YouTube video where they take the music out and they just do the sound effects of like him slapping his head and slapping his
Yes,
feet?
there is absolutely loads of it in things like
I
Outer
love
Space,
that.
Voodoo People, and all of that.
I love those so much because I am a dork, but I do love those.
Mind you, I was also listening to Pendulum, and I realised that Pendulum literally only have one drum beat,
Yeah, it's true.
which is annoying, like, because their songs are great, but it's just that obnoxious drums.
Yeah. I have 1 or 2 of their songs in my playlist, but I can't remember what. All I've been doing is, I ain't gonna lie, y'all know what I've been listening to on repeat? It's called, wait, I think it's called Reverse Cowgirl. That might be just something I
Oh dear.
but it's the song that's from Hackers, the Hacker soundtrack song. And it is like, it just touches my little autistic soul. It's just like, it's a 7-minute song. It's on repeat. It takes me 15 minutes to drive anywhere, so I go through it twice every time.
But Underworld.
Oh, it's not Reverse Cowgirl, it's just Cowgirl?
No.
Yeah, we see where my head is.
That's something else.
Yeah, God. But, Yeah, anyway, it's a really good song, and everyone should listen to it. It's very old. Nah, so that's what she said. Lol. Oh my
Brilliant.
gosh.
It can't be that old. I haven't heard of it.
It's pretty old. It's like the 90s.
That's not old.
That's
1994.
94. That is old, Brent. Come on. What were you born in 94?
Yeah, making us both feel old with that. Thank you.
But
what's wrong with me?
I don't age. Well, according to the internet, I'm 45, so there we go.
No, according to the UK government and Companies House, you're that age.
Yes. Apparently I'm 45. Let's admit it. I look pretty good for 45. That's why I tell people, and they're like, "Oh, how old are you?" I'm like, "I'm 56. I just look really good for 56." But for our lovely audience, I'm a little thrown off my game, if you can't tell, for several reasons. One, I haven't slept in 4 days.
Go to sleep.
Okay.
Get some sleep after this stream.
If I down this wine, I need to shotgun this wine.
Oh God, that's always a good way to do the show.
But pizza.
It's okay when you're sitting on the sidelines,
Nana says, "How are you even functioning?" You know what? I may not be. That's from Bottom.
That's your secret, like Bruce Banner. He's always angry. You're not always functioning.
That's true. Yeah, but anyway, Pete's in charge. I'm probably gonna cough again. I'll save it when you ask like how my week's been and all that stuff.
We'll do the usual, yeah.
Yeah. Do the needful. Isn't that what the phrase is? Yeah.
I guess so. I have a quick question for you both. It's food related.
Ooh,
Have
I
you
love
ever
food.
had spaghetti bolognese with chorizo in it?
Oh yeah.
I don't know that I have, but chorizo's been showing up in everything lately. It's very weird to me. Being from Texas, it's very weird. It's like, okay. I'm not against it. It just keeps showing up.
Well, obviously I'd never heard of it before, so had it today. It was quite nice actually. Really
bet
good.
it was,
Would
yeah.
recommend.
Not even the weirdest version of bolognese I've had.
What
Go
is
on.
barbecue? Because I've had that and that's weird.
Yeah, I've had some barbecue spaghetti
Yeah,
before.
that's a weird
That's
thing.
like a Memphis thing. Yeah. I've had like it's like a mixture of different meats that weren't what you were expecting. So there was like turkey, and there was like some goat, and it was just kind of
goodness.
everything all together. It was.
I'm pretty sure I've had squirrel. I've had squirrel spaghetti. Again, Texas.
I really hope that the spaghetti wasn't made out of the squirrel.
No, the meat part.
Yeah,
The
I'm fully
bolognese.
aware of that.
Just put a squirrel in a paper shredder. That's your noodles.
Mental image there is not a good thing. Just a slightly roadkill squirrel just being laid down flat for
Yep, and then just in the paper shredder, and there you go. There's your noodles. Oh my gosh, Sleepy Kiley is Goofy Kiley.
Oh dear.
Let's get drunk, Kiley.
This is gonna get disastrous very quickly.
I just talked about putting a squirrel in a paper shredder. Pete.
I know. I'm starting to regret this decision.
Oh dear. Oh.
At least
dear.
it's gonna be entertaining.
Well, there's that. That's one thing you know.
Also, she's not in control this time, so.
I don't know how.
Control.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
Look, I might be in control, but am I really in control?
Never. Not where I'm concerned.
Exactly.
You know, I used to tell myself, okay, you have to remember I was a dorky child and I'm a dorky grown up. But I was like, if I'm ever captured prisoner by pirates or aliens or the Spanish Inquisition, I don't know. I'll be like, they'll never take my mind. My mind will always be mine and in control. Are you telling me you never prepped for kidnapping by aliens?
I'm afraid to say not. I think me and Brent have a bit more of a less of an issue to do with kidnapping, and we aren't female.
Oh well, I guess that too. But I was
You know.
more, yeah. I wasn't really thinking about that per se, but yeah, maybe that's why I thought about being kidnapped by.
I think that's probably why. It's a self-preservation thing.
Yes.
It's like, if it was to ever happen, then they can do anything they want, but just as long as that stays,
Exactly.
I'm all kosher.
Exactly. Oh my gosh, I was a dorky child. Nana says, "What kind of town did you live in Texas?" Apparently, we have frequent alien abductions and Spanish Inquisition.
Alien abductions and rodents go through paper shredders.
Maybe
I mean,
it's
look,
the
you
rocking
barbecue roadkill,
Look, obviously, Brent lived in Tennessee, so he probably knew this too. I did know people that ate roadkill.
Times are tough.
I don't know if I would say that we ever had roadkill, but we've had some encounters with wildlife that ended up on the grill.
Well, it's like sometimes if you hit a deer, because it's very common to hit a deer, and it's not like its guts didn't explode, it just like broke its neck or whatever. What are you gonna do? Just leave it there? It's a waste.
Exactly.
I was a poor child.
I don't know what the ruling is over here.
You like a leg, break his leg, and can't get out of the road. What are you gonna do?
Exactly. That seems such a waste. Well, everybody's got a gun in Texas.
Yep.
Well, in the South in general.
I'll be honest, it's the most humane thing you should do anyway. So I don't want to see anything suffer.
There is this really sad movie from the 80s called Starman. And, like, it's about an alien. I guess aliens are our theme tonight.
Jesus Christ.
But he's a human. God, it is an odd. Oh my gosh, it's an autistic coded movie, 100%. Autistics, go watch Starman. Anyway, there's no, not that. But there's this scene where, like, a hunter has killed a deer and they're at a diner and the deer's in the back of the truck or whatever, and he's like, he can feel the Starman can feel the suffering of the animal, and because it like didn't die all the way or something, and he like brings him back to life and heals him and lets it run off, and then the hunter guy like gets angry and has a fight with him. So that is an autistic movie. Holy crap, I didn't realize that till I said all this out loud.
I wasn't sure.
This is what happens when Pete's in charge.
To their prizes.
Screw off, Kylie. You can't blame this on me.
You
and your weird thoughts when you have too much time to yourself.
It's true.
Look, I wasn't there in Texas when you had thoughts of abductions.
You tell me you never thought of that?
I mean, of course, who hasn't? What do I do in a situation that might mean that I'm going to die? Yeah, of course.
I always thought of stuff like that. And like when I was little, I read a book where like the knights, in order to escape like they would torture them and stuff, they would like send their mind to a different place, like all that stuff. I was like, I can do this if I ever get tortured.
Really?
Yes.
Depends on what your threshold for pain is like.
Well, it's pretty high.
Okay, well, you might be alright then.
Oh my gosh. Chat, this is what happens when Pete's in charge.
Stop blaming it on me! You see what she does? She gaslights me all the damn time.
Yep. It's Pete's
I haven't
choice.
done anything wrong. All I've done is gone, maybe Kylie should talk about this a bit more. Maybe Kylie should have more of an opinion on this than me, being an Eck-Box fan.
Did you see my title for today's show?
I didn't, actually. I'll go and have a look now. Oh my god. You do know I'm probably going to have to keep that now.
Yeah, but maybe change it to Flippin Eck-Box. H-E-X.
Afraid not. You've named the show. That's
it.
Okay.
I've established it.
Look what happens when I try and name shows. You get boring titles like, oh, it's another news app.
You should have called it.
You at the end of last week.
You should have called it Newsy Floozies, like I said.
I forgot about that, all right, and then you disappeared very quickly.
I did.
You always do. You're just like, right, bye, gone.
Well, poof.
It's like you've hovered over that end call button for at least 2 hours, and you're like, right, I'm done. I'm good. I'm cool. Like, I've done my bit for the week.
I gotta pee. Gotta go.
So, right, I'm drunk. Bed. Oh, wait, you don't go to bed.
No sleepies for measies. No sleepies for measies. There's the title right there. Pete, how are you gonna do this? You can't control me? What? I can't
control you.
No,
I have an easy way of doing things, and you'll find out soon enough.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
There's no need to be intrigued about it. It's nothing bad. It's so you know what happens when you have a naughty child and they won't listen to anything you say. You just tend to ignore them for a while.
That's gonna be a really great adventurous show.
So be on your best behaviour, otherwise you won't get asked any questions.
Okay. We should probably start the show. Do you want me to count you in?
Well, I do this quite frequently on Never Watchers where I have to count myself in, so I'm quite used to it by now.
Okay, count yourself.
Oh, by the way, just did you listen to the last episode?
I haven't yet. No, I want to, but
I just want to take a moment to talk about it because we switched things up where Kurt was hosting, and it's the first time he's ever done it.
Right.
My God, he did an incredible job.
Oh, that's good to hear. That's very good.
Yeah, I said to him, just be yourself. Just do what comes natural to you. Like, just talk. I said it's tougher than you think it is, but he literally just went. He just went straight into it.
Oh, that's so good.
What the hell? Maybe you should do it more frequently, because at least he can actually close a show out. I can't.
Well, there you go. No, that's really good to hear. That'll be interesting.
So, yeah, you should go and listen to it. That film that we watched was Jesus.
Can you tell us the film, or is that part of
It's the Menu.
Oh, that's right. You did say that. Yeah.
Yes, The Menu.
Yeah.
Weird film. Very weird film.
Yeah,
interesting though. Don't want to give away too much of my thoughts about it. Ooh.
Okay.
Right. Shall we start?
Sure.
But if you feel like you want to, you can count me in if you like. Okay.
Okay. If I remember.
I'm recording now, so crack in.
Great. Okay. Ready, Pete?
What episode are we on? 159.
Okay,
Yeah,
are you ready?
Cool.
3, 2.
Hello and welcome everybody to episode 159 of the Rapid Reviews Radio podcast. My name is Pete. I am one of your co-hosts. I'm joined as always by my co-host, Kiley.
Hello.
As you probably heard, Kiley is not running the show today, and we have a reason. We'll get to that in a moment. But we're joined as, not as always, unfortunately, but we're joined by frequent contributor and friend of the show, Brent.
Bueno.
Hey. So I'll start this episode off by asking you both how your weeks are. So I'm going to start with our guest this time. So Brent, how's your week been?
It's been a pretty good week, actually. All the plans for the next cruise have kind of come together. I paid my deposit, got my flights all worked out, got an Airbnb situated, so good to go for my next cruise, well ahead of time even. And then had a big celebration for Cinco de Mayo. I guess I went to a concert. I couldn't convince anyone to go with me, but I went to a Spanish rock concert, and it was amazing.
That's very cool.
Nice. Who did you see? Or anyone that we...
Say that again.
The band's name is Maná. They're the most popular, most selling Spanish rock group in the world.
Maná. Yes.
Let's not do that anymore. Kylie, how's your week been?
This feels weird, Pete. Just letting you know.
Just roll with it for once. It's a one-off.
Beautiful listeners and watchers know that this feels weird. I have a new chair, and so I'm rocking. I hope that's not affecting my, voice. It's going, whoa.
Well, luckily for now, I can't really hear it.
Okay, that's good. So I have bronchitis. I keep calling it brontosaurus, but it's not. It's bronchitis. And I'm on some crazy heavy antibiotics. And I'm also drinking, and I also haven't slept in 4 days. So this is going to be fun. Can you feel the energy, people?
Yes.
And also, I'm not in charge, which is really weird.
Yeah, I know. Look, you've made that aware like 3 times now. It's fine. It'll be fine.
Every time this happens for our lovely listeners at home, I get really rebellious.
Yes, you do, and this is why I wanted this show. I wanted it to be as fun as possible.
As fun as possible as I try to undermine Pete at every turn. No authority. I recognize no authority over me.
I mean, you do that normally anyway because I have to do everything, so, you know.
Pete does a lot, especially this week because I have been out of commission. But yes, Pete, how's your week been?
Well, my week's been an interesting one, but I'd rather not discuss it in too much detail because it involves health problems.
Oh no, not like
Yes.
Brontosaurus.
Not quite that bad, but well, let's just sod it. I've got a urine infection, which is great.
Those suck so bad. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. See why I didn't want to talk about it? Not fun. Not great.
Yeah. No.
Not really something I want to be discussing, to be honest.
I know, but my heart goes out to anyone that has those. They hurt and they are not fun.
Nope. No, it isn't. So I'm on some pretty strong antibiotics as well.
Woo!
We're on the same page here. Great stuff.
Twinsies! Antibiotic
And yes,
show.
everyone is sick this week. Fantastic. So, what are we discussing this week? Now that we've got all the intros out of the way, we're going to talk about Xbox, which is why I've got the two here to talk about Xbox. As we know, unashamedly both are probably more on the more Xbox fan side of things. Let's be honest.
I am fangirl, Xbox fangirl.
I know.
I have been called the what is it? Game Pass guru.
Yes, Game Pass
I think
guru.
we affectionately called you that.
Yep, and accessibility guru. All of that. Brent's just a guru.
You're. I'm gonna have to think about this. You're our man to the ground when it comes to Xbox stuff. Put your ear to the ground. So,
man on the street.
I wanted to. Sorry, Karen.
I just say man on the street.
Yes, that's the one. He's literally standing over a microphone, just talking to the random Xboxers. What do you think about it this week?
That's what we should do. We should interview an Xbox. Oh, Pete, we could have interviewed an Xbox.
Hang on, hold on.
What
do you think about this?
Microsoft's got their Chat GPT into their Bing now, so you could probably actually have an interview with an Xbox at this point.
Man, I could finally go on a date.
Sorry, we've got a show for next week.
Yes, there we go. We will interview an Xbox.
Okay. So, funnily enough, I wanted to talk about Xbox this week because it's been a bit of a ride for them, let's be honest. It's not exactly been the strongest of weeks for them all the last, let's be honest, maybe a year, maybe even longer. Who knows? I mean, it's not to say that it's always been bad, but we've had some interesting things that have come up recently. Of course, we spoke about the Activision Blizzard deal potentially being blocked by the CMA. Wanted to go into a little bit about that, but I wanted to start this off by talking about Redfall. So, has anyone on the panel actually played Redfall?
No.
I have played a little.
Right.
Okay.
That's good to hear.
So, I'll be interested to hear what your thoughts are
for this.
Oh, very nice. I actually was supposed to myself and just forgot. So, Brent, talk us through your experiences with Redfall as you, because let's be honest, the critical reception to the game has not exactly been positive, has it?
Well, I'm a fan of the arcade games from the past, the Dishonored series, Prey, one of my favorites. So I had high hopes for this. I thought this might be a way for them to kind of branch out into more of a multiplayer-centric gameplay, but still kind of stick to their roots as having these really immersive worlds with many different ways to approach enemies and the different problems in the game. And unfortunately, in the time that I played, none of that really came true. It doesn't feel like an Arcane game. They tried to give you hints saying that you can do things in different ways, but it's not nearly as complex as their previous games. One of the first things you do in the game is you set up a kind of a headquarters and a fire station. And there's really only two options. You either go through the front door, guns blazing, or you climb up onto like this garage next to it and get in through a window.
Yeah.
But even that doesn't really present a very sneaky way of doing things. You might be able to take out a couple enemies that way, being sneaky about it, but you can't really take out everything sneakily, especially the boss, the vampire that resides there. Is impossible to do that sneakily at all. So it doesn't matter which route you take, the end result is you essentially have a mini boss fight. And it just doesn't feel like your choices mattered in how you approach the situation. You might save a few resources by trying to do the sneaky thing, but in the end, that's really not going to influence much.
No.
After you get your HQ set up, it kind of opens up the world at that point, or I guess the first part of the world. And you can get a little bit more choice in how you want to do things, but you still kind of have the same end goals. You know, you have your main missions and you have safe houses you're trying to set up. And so you'll probably do it all anyway. It just kind of up to you how you want to do, what order you want to do it in. And again, that doesn't really affect much in the end, because in order to progress to the next area, you have to complete all the main missions. So it doesn't really matter if you choose to go get all the safe houses first. In the end, you're still going to have to move on to the next area, and none of it matters. It's literally a point of no return. Everything you did in the first area is now blocked off, and you can't come back.
Oh.
And that's just a really bad way to surprise the players. You know, if you started playing on day one, you wouldn't have known about that.
Yeah.
You could have gotten to that point expecting to be able to go back, and you never could. Then the multiplayer really doesn't add that much either. Sure, I guess it's fun to play with friends sometimes, but there's not a ton of synergy with the different characters. They all have these abilities that they have that you can kind of use to help each other, but none of it really combos well with like one character using one power and then the next character using a different power, and it kind of creates a bigger effect or anything. So that really didn't do much. And to be honest, the game doesn't look good. They didn't hit their promise of the 60 frames per second. You know, and me being mostly blind, even I could tell that it wasn't very good graphics.
That was going to be my question to you, Brent. It was like,
one
tell?
thing that I particularly had trouble with is, because my vision is bad, I use audio a lot in games to kind of help me. And the audio in the game is horrible too.
Oh, that's
There's
disappointing.
so much going on. Like, you hear gunfire in the distance, you hear enemies talking. If you're playing with friends, the other character will be having conversations with you. Your radio might come on and somebody from the HQ is telling you something. You've got sounds of like wildlife, like birds and things. So you can't hear anything specific. So you might be getting shot from somewhere and you have no idea where that is until you get hit. And then the little marker shows up showing which direction it came from.
Right.
And that, again, is a really bad gameplay decision for people like me who just need to rely on the sound. And even kind of messing around with the sound settings doesn't really help, just because there's so much going on that you can't individually say, I don't want the bird sounds, I don't want this, and I don't want that. You know, it's not that complex. So in the end, I played it for a few hours. I think I got a pretty good understanding of the gameplay loop, and I don't think I'm really going to go back to it anytime soon. Maybe if they overhaul it and update it in the future, they get the 60 FPS like they promised, maybe it'll be better then, but right now it's just really not worth your time, in my opinion.
That's
It
disappointing.
seems to be the sentiment for quite a lot of people at the moment. So just to put it into perspective, the Metacritic score, so from the critics of 56 critics who wrote, it's 58 currently. So it's not a good score, and the user rating at 600 from 611 participants is 3.0. So this has
Did
gone down a bit of a stink, let's say.
did Rapper Reviews review it?
I don't know if we did.
I'm so sorry, Mike. I didn't check. I've had an off week.
Hang on.
But
Oh,
I'm going to be honest. When we watched this last year on, I think it was the Summer Game Fest, I think, or was it the
yeah.
Bethesda Xbox showcase?
I think it was the Bethesda Xbox showcase.
It was the opener, and I had no interest in it. I tried to gin up interest, but I couldn't really. But I'm not a multiplayer person anyway, and this looks like when they introduced it to us, it looked like they were trying to push multiplayer. I don't know if that if that held true or not.
You can play solo, and I personally think that is a slightly better way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You have less of the audio interference, and those choices that don't really matter can still matter a little bit.
Right.
If you're playing with friends and you want to go sneaky and they want to go guns blazing, well, it doesn't really matter what your choice was.
Right. Right.
But isn't there also the issue that only the person who's hosting the games gets the progression as well?
Oh dear.
That's, funnily enough, almost a benefit, however, with the whole you can't go back to the starting zone. So
I guess
if you can find somebody who's still in the starting zone and you can join them and you can still complete some things that you need to do or you want to experience. I guess it doesn't get saved to your progress, but at least you get to experience those things you missed out on.
Yeah, but it just seems like a bit of an odd choice for me that only one person gets a progression standpoint, whereas the other three people get absolutely nothing and have to go back and host their own games. I could sort of see what they're trying to do, like trying to enable a bit more replayability. But if the game's running not quite as well as they wanted it to, then how many people are really going to want to go back and play this?
I agree. Yeah.
It's a bit disappointing. So. And I'm gonna throw my hat into the ring here for this one. I was probably one of the only people that was actually excited about this game, and for it to sort of come out and look the way that it did is weird to me because I would have downloaded it, but it was one of those things I was waiting for reviews.
For our for our listeners, Pete is big time into FPS rates and stuff. So, like, 30 FPS is what a no-go for you.
It's why I stopped playing Fall Guys on the Switch.
Yeah, see. And I have very weird eyes, so I don't see a difference between 30 and 60, and anything above 60 makes me want to vomit. So, for me personally, frame rate doesn't mean anything, but that's because I have very strange eyes. Whereas for Pete, and a lot of players out there, it's a very important factor. And to be fair, let's be honest. We're in the next gen. You know what I mean? It probably should be 60.
They're charging $70 for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, again, it doesn't make a difference to me and my eyes, but at the same time, I am logical enough to realize we're in the future. It should be 60 or more. If you're going to charge that kind of price for a game.
And I mean, this is coming off the back, obviously, as well, that they had announced, I think, about a week or so before, obviously, like you said, it was locked at performance. It wasn't even a performance mode in there. It was fidelity mode. So it was just all about visuals rather than the frame rate. And then a couple of weeks before that, they had confirmed that the game was online only with DRM check-ins, even for a single player, which is a bit strange. So
why?
Kylie, I'll give this one to you. Do you feel like all the negative press beforehand has obviously may have caused a bit of a negative reaction in the lead up to this, even with the reviewers?
Well, I will say that we've seen it time and time again for many years now. If you have negative press beforehand, it can affect a debut of a game. But if that game is strong, it can outlast all of that. From what I can tell, Redfall doesn't fall into that category. It's not a strong game, but it's, I hate to say this, but I mean, yeah, the rumors have been around for a while that it wasn't going to be that great. You know, it wasn't going to be a strong game. I think it was very optimistic because it came out of what people forget is, and I've said this before on past shows, you know, we're in 2023, but these games were made during lockdown. Redfall was developed during lockdown. Ain't nothing coming out that's that good. You know what I mean? Like, we're talking about AAA. There's a lot of indie games that are hitting that are like, oh, what a surprise hit, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's fine. But the AAA games that have come out in the last 2 years, they ain't been good. And that's across all consoles. That's not just Xbox. And I think we're in that slump, which, again, I've said that before. But I think we're still in that slump, and we're not going to come out of it until next year. And Redfall is a victim of that. But Redfall also came out when, you know, that revival of, like, Back 4 Blood or whatever, you know, all that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we were talking about that before.
Yeah, when the online, like, cooperative zombie shooters.
Yeah, all of that,
like
you
Left 4
know.
Dead.
And then they delayed it, so it missed its kind of fad window or whatever, which is actually sad because I think if it had come out when it was supposed to, it might have done better. In fact, I know it would have done better, because I don't think that the frame rate and all that kind of stuff would have been as big of a deal as it is now. But yeah, like, I think the negative press affected its debut, but it's not a strong enough game to rise above the negative press, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's disappointing because, yeah, Arcane Studios does make good stuff, good quality games, you know, with a lot of, like Brent was saying, a lot of choices and stuff like that. I mean, Dishonored, the enduring quality of Dishonored franchise is that you can choose so many different options of your gameplay style. And so it's disappointing to hear that Redfall only gives you, you know, a limited, almost very black and white, you know, choice of options. And that's not going to play well. It's just not. But,
No.
So this is a huge disappointment. But I would counter that with, it's, if you're me, the last couple of years have been a huge disappointment. If I'm dead honest.
We're going to get to that.
Okay, good.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
Well, I think the most unfortunate thing is that this reminds me a lot of BioWare. Like, everyone loved BioWare. You know, they made great RPGs, and then they made Anthem, and now no one's heard of them.
Right,
they tried to make a multiplayer thing, and it just didn't work.
Woo, buddy. Anthem
and
came
I
out.
hope that doesn't happen with Arcane. I'd love to have a sequel to Prey, but who knows?
I mean, like I said, Dishonored, the Dishonored series franchise, it's a very good franchise. They could do so much more with it. I think it could be up there with Assassin's Creed. I know that's kind of ambitious, but I do think it could be. So it is disappointing that they made a misstep like this. But yeah, Anthem, remember that? For like 2 weeks.
Oh, I'd rather not remember it. It was
it's just
quite
like,
a weird
everybody
time.
was like, woo, Anthem, woo! And then it came out and it just went,
I mean, the fact that they released a trailer for it that had absolutely nothing to do with the game was quite telling.
Yeah, but that was big time back then.
Look,
it was weird time.
I could talk about that for ages, but we're going to move on.
Okay.
Because I'm just going to ask Brent this one. In your opinion, what do they need to do to get Redfall somewhat serviceable and back into the favour of positives with the Xbox gamer? Or just gamers in general?
It's going to require quite a bit, to be honest. I don't think that it really does anything particularly unique. You know, you kind of already compared it to Back 4 Blood, which is also on Game Pass. You could just play that if that's the kind of experience you're looking for.
Yeah.
Or if you're looking for more of the classic Arcane, all those are on Game Pass. Prey, all the Dishonored games, you just play those. So making this game somehow appeal to people who would play either of those is going to be hard. I think start with getting it to the 60 FPS, maybe working on the graphics a little bit, so it at least looks like something that should have come out this year. And then that might help taking away some of the the kind of no warning, point of no return, kind of bad taste for the players kind of situations.
Yeah.
Probably want to deal with that in some way, including the online where only the host gets progress.
Yeah, that's crazy to me.
It's still a weird decision for me that they chose that.
Crazy.
And then for me, I think something needs to be done with the audio. It doesn't have to be changed, but if you can somehow make some of the background things not be the same as important things, or have more sliders for the different noises in the game, would help from an accessibility standpoint.
Yeah, I agree. So, Kylie, you touched on this very, very briefly, that it's been a bit of a rocky period for Microsoft. I wouldn't even just say in this console generation, going back as far as the launch of the Xbox One.
Okay,
it's not exactly been easy going for them. So, what do you think has been their biggest disappointment so far?
Ooh, now that's tough because as much as I am an Xbox fangirl, I don't want to say there's been disappointments, but it has been a lot of disappointments. For me personally, 100% it's Halo Infinite.
I knew you were going to say that. So
yeah, because Halo Infinite as a game was wonderful. I'm talking about purely as the standalone single player game.
Yeah.
Was amazing. It wasn't the best, but everything was there. The building blocks were there. The basics were there. I didn't, of course, obviously, because of my personal, views, didn't like the direction the story took, because obviously I wanted him to find Cortana and them to be together forever. Instead, we have this weird hybrid child between Master Chief and Cortana. That's just a personal, thing. But being that that's the story elements they had to play with, they did a really good job. And I, really got emotional at the end. I stayed up. I played it 10 hours.
Something like that, yeah.
Between 10 and 13 hours. I think it was 10 hours. I stayed up all night. I played it. Straight through. Because I couldn't put it down. But then, holy crap. I don't know what happened. So, they set up the single player as if it were going to be expanded with, I don't know if DLC or something. They were going to expand the map and they were going to do this. I was kind of like, okay, I can kind of get into that. A live service Halo. Okay, it's worth experimenting with, I love me some Master Chief. But then the multiplayer, they dropped the ball so hard with that. And again, the building blocks were in place. They had good maps. Oh, weapons could be a little bit better, but they were pretty balanced. They had the cheating thing, where they could tell if you were cheating or not, which is so big in Halo. Blah, blah, blah. But then they introduced the battle pass, and it was crap. And the second battle pass was even more crap. And it was I think they wanted, 343 wanted to be Bungie with Destiny. Maybe, I'm not sure. But with Destiny, your characters are very, very malleable. You can make them your own. With the different classes and the different armor and, all this kind of thing. Armor as in cosmetics, not as if the armor affects your gameplay. It's purely cosmetics. But you're very limited with the Mark 4, 5, and 6 armor. I think it's 4, 5, and 6. I can't remember. Because there's only so much you can do with shoulder plates, and they started adding freaking, I almost cussed there. They added freaking gun charms. Gun charms? Who cares about gun charms? It's an FPS. I don't care. I can't even see the daggum gun charm. Not that I would want to, but that's so stupid, so dumb. And so we kind of figured out a way to kind of use the XP boost and stuff like that in our various attempts at playing. But even then, the XP was such a slow progression. You really had to pay to play. Yeah. Remember those days?
It was bad.
It was
bad
bad
to start with, wasn't it?
Yeah. Like, there was nothing. Okay. Destiny kept me playing because I wanted the next thing. The next piece was really cool. Or the next weapon was a legendary. All this kind of stuff. Halo didn't have that. It had, here's a shoulder piece that looks like all the other shoulder pieces. And it's a dingy color. You know what I mean? Like, there was no motivation. That's the word. They really dropped the ball when it came to that. And that hurts my heart because I am at my core. Halo is what got me hardcore game. I mean, I've been gaming obviously since I was 5, but Halo was where everything clicked, and I fell into the lore and I had a community and this was my life, for like 3 or 4 years. And to watch what it became with that 343's, direction, even though they got Joseph Staten in, and he rescued the story. There's no doubt about that. But when it came to the live service part, they just dropped the ball. And I was so disappointed because Xbox knows this is their bread and butter. And they still didn't come back. They tried to go for quick, easy money. And I think, that's my theory. You cannot do that. If you want to build a loyal fan base, this isn't a mobile game, where you can just, or an EA game, which is just a quick cash grab. This is like a loyal, dedicated fan base. We cosplay, we write fan fiction, if there was a Halo Con, and I'm sure there is somewhere in the world, we would attend that. It's like, it's a way of life, and they just dropped the ball for a quick dollar, we'll say. And that to me has 100% been the biggest disappointment since the launch. I would say this is the launch of both X-Bone and the Series X and S, which, I've never been real happy with the X-Bone either, but.
Fair play. Brent, same question to you. Biggest disappointment probably since the Xbox One launch?
Oh. I mean, are we going to include the whole Connect bundling?
Oh, gosh.
You can if you like.
That too.
That was the reason I didn't buy an Xbox One in the first year.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't imagine anything being worse than that. If it literally made me not buy the console.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I remember, like, the E3 where they introduced the X-Bone, and I was just like, what? Because, they had the Kinect as well. Pete, you probably remember that. But they called it something else. I don't remember what it was called back then, but it wasn't Kinect.
No, it was still Kinect.
I thought it had some, like, secret name or whatever. But
no, you're thinking about when they released the Kinect, or they were launching the Kinect for the 360 is when they called it Project Natal.
Maybe that's it. Yeah, that's it. All I know is the X-Bone was awful. It was a giant paperweight. I still bought it. I bought it way after, a month after it was released, which is way after to me. And, like, I got Red Dead Redemption, and it was beautiful, and it was stunning, and it's one of my favorite games. But, like, that was it. like I just kept playing Xbox 360 games. I played Goat Simulator on that thing, like, all the time.
Of course you did. So I wanted to bring it back round, obviously, because I just wanted to talk about that
Yes.
as Xbox fans, because that obviously led into Mr. Phil Spencer taking the reins from Don Matrick after he royally dropped the ball. So I want you both to be honest here, as honest as you can be.
Oh no. Okay.
And I'm going to start with Kylie on this
Oh
one.
no. Don't make me.
Do you think that Phil Spencer has done a great job running Xbox?
Well, I love Father Phil. Everyone knows this. I think he's wonderful. I have said this so many times. Like, he especially through this Sony it's true, Nana. Through this whole Sony versus Xbox acquisition thing, Father Phil has just risen above. He's taken the high road every time, and I love that. And I said this before when we did our little dramatic reading of Epic versus Apple. Phil Spencer's emails are in that, and they're so just wholesome, and he's wonderful. Maybe you don't need a wholesome, wonderful person at the helm. I don't know. I just think he's wonderful as a person. But, oh gosh, I feel like I'm betraying my loyalties. I will say that his handling of Halo. See, I keep going back to Halo, but you have to understand. For our audience, I have been an Xbox girl for many years, since Xbox 360. Before that, I was a PlayStation girl. But Xbox 360, I switched my allegiance. And then, Halo 3. That's where I was just like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. So I'm not coming from a place of, brand new to this and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Phil Spencer did drop the ball with Halo. I hate admitting that. That is absolutely painful to say out loud. But he should have, he's so good and he's so wholesome. But he should have seen the writing on the wall. They had to bring in Joseph Staten. Halo was so bad. Halo Infinite was so bad. And for people who don't know, Joseph Staten was a former writer on Halo 3, I think, 3 and 4.
Wasn't he on Halo 2? Or he was involved in Halo 2, I think.
Something. He was previously with Bungie, is the point. He was in the original cast and crew. So that should have been okay. And then they kept that chick on way too long. Whatever her name is. Bonnie Ross. Yeah, Bonnie Ross. They kept her way too long, and I think maybe Phil was scared to fire her. Maybe because she was a chick. I don't know. But he shouldn't have been, because she's awful. And so, yeah.
Okay, so sub-question then. Do you feel like because he has loyalty to quite a few people within the original Xbox teams, that actually it's clouded his judgment as to whether or not they can feasibly guide these franchises in the right direction?
I will say this. I think Phil puts people first, which is a wonderful, honorable thing, and it makes me love him all the more. But that's not how you run a business. And that's the thing. Let's compare and contrast. Jim Ryan is terrible. I can't stand him. He's an awful person. But has he made Sony money? Yes, he has. It's disappointing as that is to say. Whereas, Phil has honor and he has heart and he's wonderful. But maybe he shouldn't be the business guy. Maybe he should be the overseer of everything.
Okay.
Promote him up higher. There you go. That's what I say.
I'm not saying anything about that one, especially talking about failing upwards. Let's not discuss. So, I had a question for Brent.
Well, ask Brent the same
Trying to think
question. What
what-
do you think of beautiful, wonderful, lovely Father Phil?
Well, yeah, we could go with that, but I did have another
It's not
question
biased at
specifically.
all.
I actually do think he's done a good job. I have seen him kind of turn Microsoft's direction a little bit, where they thought of Xbox as like a secondary thing. You know, like they were putting more money into like their
Yes.
phone
Yes.
line than they were Xbox
Zoom.
before Phil Spencer really convinced them that Xbox can be
Yep.
something big. So
That is true.
I saw that. He was there for the Game Pass, the creation of
Yes.
Game Pass. He's been there for the creation of the whole cloud gaming platform. He's been there for all the big acquisitions that you can think of, including Bethesda, which,
Yes.
if Activision Blizzard doesn't go through, Bethesda will remain the largest acquisition in video game history so far.
Yeah, so far.
So I have seen him do a lot of good. I think we might be putting a little bit too much on exactly what his role is. Like, I don't think he can really, like you say, he dropped the ball with Halo, but he doesn't work for 343. He's not.
No, he doesn't. It's
He's
true.
not developing the game. He can't
That's
really
true.
change that.
True.
And even when bad things have come up, like when they were going to raise the price of Xbox Live, he was there to say, no, this is the bad time to do that. We're in the middle of a pandemic and a recession, and we can't do that to our players.
I'm
That's very
sorry.
true, actually.
I just love him so much.
So I have seen a lot of good come from him.
He's a good man.
And sure, you can point out a few bad things here and there, but considering all the good that I have seen Xbox come from him, I think outweighs it in the end. Now, this might be the beginning of his downfall, Redfall in particular, this year, potentially. But until now, anyway, I think he has done more good than bad.
I like that. I want to change my answer to Brent's.
You can if you want.
Yes, change my answer to Brent's. Let's put that in the public record.
Okay. So, with that being said, though, obviously Microsoft's focus has decided to change from just solely being Xbox related, whereas, it is about increasing the player base,
Yes.
the subscriber base as well
Yeah.
with Game Pass and all that. The only question I want to ask, and I'll direct this one at Brent first, is: do you feel like, after seeing what you've seen with Redfall, do you feel like that their promise about it being the most powerful console was technically a little bit of misadvertising?
I've actually said from the beginning that was kind of misadvertising. I think when you start talking about teraflops, that just doesn't mean anything to the average consumer. Like, that doesn't mean it's more powerful.
Stupid. No, it doesn't.
I do think there is some things within the Xbox hardware ecosystem that does indeed make it better, but I don't think any of it was really advertised.
Yeah.
I think
I agree.
the cloud gaming that we know of now is really on the back of Microsoft Azure, and none of that was really talked about when they were trying to drum up interest in the new consoles. Of course, at the time, it was really all in beta and everything anyway, but still, I feel like they could have really gone that route of no one else will have a better cloud gaming ecosystem than us because they have that infrastructure in place.
Yeah.
Amazon's really the only other one that can compete with it now that Google's Stadia has kind of gone under. So I feel like they could have really pushed that as a benefit, although it's not the console itself. As for the console itself, I do really think it has a good compression algorithm. I think that, games are just naturally going to get bigger. Install sizes are bigger. Updates are bigger.
100%. Yeah.
And they really do have a good architecture there for letting you install mini games on even the default hard drive. But the fact that they have an easy way to expand the storage with their memory cards, essentially, is also a plus that wasn't really talked about. I mean, I guess the Switch is just as easy to do that, but they don't really have the same problem with big games. They get so big at some point you have to play them through the cloud. So it's not really a fair comparison. Comparing it to Sony's PS5, that's a whole lot more difficult to actually add more storage space to.
Yeah, because
I
you actually
also
have
like
to undo the whole damn thing and actually like do
exactly.
it yourself. It's a bit weird, isn't it?
And especially since a lot of these games are marketed towards kids, you can't expect, a 10-year-old with a PlayStation to be able to do that. But they can plug in a memory card.
Agree.
I also like the design of the Series X internally. A lot of people talk about how big it is and how square it is and all this, but internally it's a very interesting setup with how they have the airflow kind of going through the middle, and you end up with that fan at the top, if you have it vertically anyway. And from a technical perspective, that is quite impressive that they were able to do that. Until now, the 360s was considered to be like the best way to kind of cram all that technology into a somewhat portable box. They called it the inhale design, and it was marketed that way as being this kind of slimmer, kind of easier to find a place on the shelf for kind of situation. And sure, the Series X doesn't really fit that, but the internals are still very innovative. And
yes.
they didn't really talk about that. They didn't really explain why there's such a big vent at the top, and why that helps from a technological perspective. They just wanted to talk about graphics and teraflops and all these things that the average person really isn't going to care about.
Yeah.
Yeah, the teraflops was stupid.
I was going to say, Kylie, you clearly had something to say before about this, so crack on. The same question goes to you.
Okay, but I have a very strange aside for a second.
Go on.
Very strange. So, I recently got the Amazon Prime Fire Stick. It replaced my Roku. And then I got a thing today on the homepage that said Fortnite play here on the Fire Stick.
Okay.
How do you play it on the fire? Do you play it with your remote? What?
No, it's the Fire Stick is an Amazon product. They have the Luna, the cloud gaming, and Fortnite is on there. So you can just use any compatible wireless controller to connect to your Fire Stick.
As long as it's Bluetooth.
So like any kind of Bluetooth controller. They sell their own Luna controllers, but it doesn't have to be.
I've got the Sony controller. I got it upstairs.
You can use the Sony controller.
Holy crap! So, holy crap. That's kind of blown my mind.
And if you have Amazon Prime, they have a selection of games from Luna that are free to play through their Twitch Prime.
Right, okay.
So
they do, yeah.
Every month there's a rotating selection of free games to play through their cloud gaming.
I mean, it won't necessarily matter to you, but you do have to be the primary account holder. That anyone who's on a family account can't actually use it.
I never have to worry
It's not just Fortnite. It would be Fortnite, any other free-to-play games they have, and their rotating selection of stuff available on Twitch Prime.
See, here's my thing, and this goes to Xbox, Sony, all of them. I am what you call a lazy gamer. Like I've said before, I said this on a couple of shows previous. Right now, my primary gaming is mobile. Now I'm gaming like crazy, like nearly 24/7 because I'm in some kind of weird mental health crisis. So all I do is just game. But it's purely mobile. Why? Because it's easily accessed. It's right there on my iPad.
Mm-hmm.
I rarely play on my phone. I hate phones. I don't touch my phone. I barely look at it. But my iPad never leaves my side. So, having said that, my Xbox Series, whatever this is, S?
S.
Okay. It's down here. I'm very lazy. I don't always want to play down here because see where this chair's located, see where my TV's located. It's like right in my face. I hate it.
Mm.
So the idea that I could have a Bluetooth connection of my PlayStation controller to my upstairs projector and play games on Amazon, that's like if we were doing, like a neck and neck thing, Sony, Xbox, whatever over here. Like Amazon just went whoop. So,
Well, you can also do it with Xbox.
well,
Their cloud gaming is available on a few different TV
I
models,
still haven't.
and
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm not going to condone it, but you can hack your Fire TV stick to also play
well,
on the cloud.
I saw that, or I had heard, or I'd read that you can access Xbox Cloud Gaming. I still haven't figured out how yet, and that's weird because I'm a kind of
It's complicated.
okay.
You essentially have to unlock the Fire Stick so that you can download things through the normal like
Okay.
Android marketplace.
Right.
And you just
Okay.
download the Game Pass app that way. And that's what
See,
they call it side loading. I don't know if that would help
Side
you.
loading. Yeah. Okay. Okay. See,
And
I'm
then you
usually
can just run the app through
good at
their
that.
Android operating system on the Fire Stick.
I may be doing that, so you might see me up on the Xbox. I haven't not like literally.
So something else to mention, if you have a Netflix subscription,
I do.
they have quite a few games on there now too.
They do
Well,
now.
see, that was confusing to me as well, and we did a show over that. Like Netflix, wow, hello wine. Netflix gaming, like the last time I looked into it, it was just little casual games.
They've gotten a lot better. They're starting to buy studios.
Yep.
Terra Nil that just came out was a day one addition to Netflix. It's getting there.
So
it's still in the early stages, but it's getting there.
Well, what I want to say for our listeners and our watchers is that this is the type of gamer I am. I'm a lazy gamer. I want good games, but I want them accessed at the push of a button in front of me. I am very I don't want to use this word. I hate this word, but I am very bougie. I'm not in my soul, okay? But I do have a very comfortable level of living. And the idea that I have to come down here and play my Xbox down here, oh, frick, I really sound like a bad word right now.
First world problems.
It really does sound like it, but I'm being very perfectly honest here. Like, I don't always want to trek down here to play this. So what I'm saying is, Xbox, push your dadgum cloud gaming. That's what I want. I just want digital cloud gaming. I know we've done a digital versus physical episode, and Pete is strongly pro-physical, and I get it. I do. But I'm also lazy. So I just want digital access through the cloud. And I do think that will go far for Xbox.
I agree. They had their prototype box thing for cloud gaming that never really came to fruition yet, and there hasn't really been any info about it. I think if that ever does release, that would be a massive boon to Xbox and their cloud gaming.
The thing is, like, about, I'm going to say 10 years ago, that might be a little bit more, so maybe a little bit less. Chromebook, if y'all are familiar with that, was released. For our audience, Chromebook is Google's, we'll say laptop. It is online only. There's there's a hard drive, but not really. It's a
tiny hard drive, barely any RAM or anything like that to it.
Because it's completely on the Google Cloud, for better. I think that's probably accurate.
That's what it's called, Google Cloud.
Okay, is it? Okay. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, this is never gonna work" or whatever. But it did work for a subset of people. Even I was interested in it. It doesn't work for my business because my business, I need a physical, like, hard drive and stuff like that just for what I do. But for gaming purposes, that seems like, to me, just the supreme answer. So if Xbox did do a console that was like a Chromebook, but a console, 100% on the cloud. People like me, bam, first day I'd purchase it.
Mm.
So I think going in that direction. Now, I do recognize that people like Pete exist.
Yeah, can I just say that Jedi Survivor has proven that
Okay.
no game is truly physical or digital.
So, there are a couple of games I want to talk about at some point, which Jedi Survival and Jedi Survivor and Dead Island 2, I do want to talk about those at some point. But
we'll get to them at some point in the future.
But yes, but my current thing is for Xbox to, I say Xbox, I mean Microsoft, obviously. I think if they put their energy into their cloud gaming, I think that's the next avenue. I think they're far ahead. I do think that Google has, their own kind of competitive side to that. Because I've long said, we predicted it, that Stadia would go by the wayside, but they'd keep the streaming service. And that's exactly what happened. So, Google's kind of a competitor on the horizon, but it's so far behind. Like, Azure or whatever it's called, Microsoft is miles ahead of everything.
We already mentioned, you have Google, Netflix, you got Amazon Luna. All of them are now getting into that kind of cloud gaming space.
Yeah.
And Xbox could be the leader in that. They might still be number 3 in console gaming, but if you're number 1 in cloud gaming, that's not so bad.
I absolutely 100% agree, and I would like to see it go in that direction.
Okay. I agree to some degree as well. We won't get into the nitty gritty of it. I will ask a quick question though. Do you think that with ever expanding platforms to be able to play on, do you think that Microsoft have diluted themselves into some degree of solely just focusing on the Xbox brand, or are they now having to focus completely on the Xbox, PC, the cloud, mobile, everything, and that's possibly taken resources away from doing what they should be doing, which is first and foremost producing console games? So Brent, I'll give that one to you first.
Well, I do think that this will be the future where you can play these games wherever, through the cloud, any device with a screen. So if they're getting starting on it now and they get to be at the forefront of it, sure, we might have some worse games in the meantime, but eventually the day will come that Xbox will be ahead of everyone. Yes. When we get to that point. I also think that if you focus on the games being playable everywhere, you will get some weird situations where you have to sacrifice content, graphics, frame rate, etc. But I think if they continue with their smart delivery program, where they can kind of tailor the experience based on the device you're playing on, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. Obviously, Redfall kind of being the exception, where it just really didn't do well, even on the Series X that I played it on. But that said, if they can kind of meld both of those together, the cloud gaming and the smart delivery, there won't be any issues. You can play it at whatever you need to play it at. If you have a small little mobile device, you can play it on there with toned down graphics and frame rate, etc. Or you can play it on your Series X at full specs, and there won't be an issue. But I think that's where the problem lies, is trying to get that right. And I think possibly having both the Series S and the Series X this generation has kind of caused issues with that, with games in the past, where they just couldn't quite get that smart delivery right to work the way it wanted to on both consoles. So they may have been deluding themselves a little bit in that regard, but no one else is doing it like that. No one else is trying to give you the best experience on the device you're playing on. It's just going to take time to figure out.
Kylie, same question?
I actually agree wholeheartedly. I almost said wholeheartedly.
Oh my god.
Don't forget, I am still drinking with Brent. But no, honestly, I just absolutely agree with Brent. Like the future is absolutely cloud gaming. Microsoft's on the forefront. And the thing is, like their Azure service is like Nintendo's using it, Sony's in talks to use it. You know what I mean? It's like infrastructure. So like they're there. They're right there. Yes, they need to maybe think less about. No, I'm not gonna say they need to think less. They need two separate teams. One that's more, their technical, advancing this technology, and then game development, which is game development is so important. Like we really give a lot of time to game developers on here and stuff. That's not. There's a reason for that, because a game, like you can put out just a generic casual game and it might go far, but a really good solid game needs a good solid development team. For whatever reason, I don't know. Microsoft hasn't done that in the last few years. I don't know. I think they took their eye off the ball or whatever. But I'm hoping, and yes, I'm bringing up the forbidden word, I hope Starfield will, maybe put Microsoft back up there. Oh my gosh, please. Microsoft and Bethesda, please, please, please.
I was going to say, hold the Starfield fort.
Okay, I'll hold it, but not for long. Because I'm dying to talk about it.
We're going to get to it very soon, because I want to put a right underline, basically under all of this. And I want to talk specifically about what Phil Spencer's done this week, where he appeared on the Kind of Funny Eck-Box podcast.
Yes.
Where, all credit where credit is due, I'm not the biggest fan of Kind of Funny. I feel like they softball their questions. They're not exactly... No, they went hard this time. They actually asked some really good questions. So I was very interested that I actually had Phil Spencer on not long after Redfall had come out. Did a bit of a dissection of it, and obviously talked about where they think they've probably gone wrong. So I know Brent watched this. Kylie, did you?
No, I didn't.
Okay, so Brent, I'm going to hand this over to you, because I want you to summarize essentially what some of your biggest talking points you think were from Phil, and some of the answers that he had to some of the questions.
Okay. So I picked out 3 specific quotes that I feel like really kind of represent where Xbox is now, where they want to go in the future, and kind of addressing Redfall and the kind of missteps that have happened recently. So this first one seems pretty perfect for our discussion on cloud gaming, but he says that we're not in the business of out-consoling Sony or Nintendo. There's not a solution or a win for us, and I know that this will upset a lot of people, but it's just the truth of the matter. Mm-hmm. It's when you're in third place in the console marketplace, and the top 2 are as strong as they are, you have in certain cases very discrete focus.
Yes.
This kind of makes Xbox hard as a team, and that's on us. It's not on anyone else.
Yeah.
So I think that that's a really good quote about kind of how they perceive themselves in the console marketplace, that they realize that there's not really going to be a path forward to go any higher than third place. And I think that they know this, and they don't expect anyone to really, it doesn't matter how many Xbox products you buy, they're not going to come to number 2, is kind of what they're saying. And so that kind of, to me, says that they are going to focus more on the cloud gaming, and maybe that'll be where they can succeed. And then here's a quote about some of the recent games that have come out. He says that there's clearly quality and execution and other things that we can do, but one thing I won't do is push against creative aspirations. Mm-hmm. There are a lot of people that'll say, hey, you've got all these teams, they can make these great games, just make them do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I felt that was probably the
he's
most telling part actually of this
New
whole
Vegas
thing. Was
too.
I was pretty impressed with this as an answer.
so he says he's not a believer in that. Maybe that means that we'll under deliver games for our fans. But when a team like Rare wants to do Sea of Thieves, I got my Sea of Thieves shirt today, or Obsidian wants to do Grounded, or Tango wants to do Hi-Fi Rush, we didn't really talk about that, but I think that
I
has been
know.
the best game on Game Pass
That
in
is
recent
the.
I
time.
meant to bring that
I'll
up.
be honest.
I
That
was
was the
rambling.
outlier here. I was going to ring up Hi-Fi Rush at one
Yeah.
point and say that it's probably one of the biggest surprises from them.
So he says he wants to give teams their creative platform to go and push their ability, push their aspirations. But he also recognizes that we need a selection of games, of great games, and we need to continue that to surprise and delight our friends. And we have definitely under-delivered lately. And I apologize. It's not what I expect, and it's not what I want. So he knows the position that they're in.
Yeah.
But I do want to, unless you wanted to talk about Hi-Fi Rush and other games, this would be a good time to mention.
Well, actually, it was more interesting, really, to sort of hear what Kiley thinks about these sort of quotes in isolation,
Okay. Well, I
considering
have one
she's not
more.
actually
Yeah,
sort
go
of,
for it. I want to hear
listen
the
to.
last
So
one.
let's go through the last quote, and then we can get her take on these.
And this one's just kind of about what has happened recently. He says, we started off well in 2023, and Redfall was a knockback. It's our job to go and deliver the next great game. I can only look forward. I can sit here and wallow in my frustration, but all I can do is say I'm going to do better tomorrow than I did yesterday and continue to support the teams that want to grow.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's ours to prove. We have Starfield, Forza, Hellblade, seeing good builds of Avowed in other games. I can see it, but until you have a controller in your hand and you're smiling playing our games, none of my words matter.
Oh, he's so smart. I
So
love him.
again, it's very poignant that he recognizes that they're just not in a very good position right now, but he is a believer in what will come.
Sure.
And hopefully that'll be within the next year, but only time will tell.
I've got another one here for you. So this was specifically at the very beginning of the podcast itself. Not usually one to big up another one, but go and listen to the kind of funny X-Cast podcast, because this was very interesting actually. So the quote from Phil comes as this, and this is specifically talking about Redfall and the disappointment. He said, "There's nothing that's more difficult for me than disappointing the Xbox community. I've been a part of it for a long time. To just watch the community lose confidence and be disappointed, I'm disappointed. I'm upset with myself." And he said, and then they start talking about obviously how not having 60 FPS on consoles at launch. He said that was kind of our punch in the chin, rightfully.
Aww.
So very interesting that he's obviously been quite outspoken, quite honest, what it would appear. So yeah, so
It's a beautiful
Kylie, from this, and I'm going to specifically ask this, how do you think his mood was on the podcast, just from those quotes?
Oh, great. Ask an autistic to tell someone's mood.
Oh, I know. Great question, clearly.
Great question for an autistic. No, I think it's optimistic, but again, I'm optimistic. I'm an optimistic person.
Mm-hmm.
Hearing those quotes from Brent and you, I just love him. Like, he is, I would love to work for him. I don't like bosses. That's why I started my own business. I've had one boss that I absolutely adored, and he was very much like Phil. He was just like, Kylie, you do whatever feels natural. He was so cool. And he reminds me so much of Phil. And these are very optimistic. Let's compare and contrast. I know Elon Musk is in a class of his own. But you've got Elon Musk, who is unstable, not realistically positive. He makes investors very nervous with his speechifying. Whereas you've got Phil, who, okay, yeah, he's been in the business. I get it. I know he knows what to say and blah, blah, blah. But there's something so authentic about his, his delivery and stuff. He reassures people. He reassures investors. He reassures gamers. We're moving forward. Like, that's my favorite phrase, is move forward. Yeah, things suck now, but we're gonna move forward. We're gonna move forward. Future's better. Future's better. And so, like, hearing these quotes or whatever, it just solidifies my feelings that he is just a wonderful, great man. Now, should he keep this position if he keeps not making money? I don't know. That's not for me to say. As a business owner, okay, might pull him into my office and say, Phil, we need to have a talk. Okay, we need to chat. We need an exit plan, an exit strategy. We need money making, whatever. Okay, fine. That's the business side of me. The human side of me is just like so touched by these quotes. He really believes what he says. He's very optimistic. The only thing is, here's what I will say. Because, see, I'm not 100%. I mean, I'm a fangirl, but I do try to keep it realistic. He is kind of, this is repeated behavior. We keep having a negative release, and he's like, I know we messed up. I know we screwed up. We'll get the next one right. Okay, but now we're like 3 or 4 deep. And Starfield's right around the corner. Pete, I am not kidding. If they mess up Starfield, I don't know what I'm going to do.
We're getting to it.
Oh!
We're getting to it. Trust me. It's part of the process.
But right now, what I will say to sum up is it's very positive. It's very feel-like. It re-energizes me and think, okay, they're going to do good again. But this is like the 3rd time he's given this speech. Oh. So, I hate saying that.
Okay, so I will ask this for Brent. As someone who watched this, did you feel like it was refreshingly honest or came across as very corporatized, sort of like, okay, we've been caught, we misadvertised, 60 frames, and then got, it then became apparent that it was 30 frames on console, 60 on PC. All the marketing for the PC was done using PC builds, and they got caught doing it. When the game came out, he had no choice but to come and accept it and just eat humble pie, essentially.
I actually felt that it was pretty honest.
Yeah.
I think that they could have tried to sugarcoat it more if it was more of a corporate thing, but I don't think he did. I think he was just very honest about the situation, and I can't give too much away about the future, but at least he tried to make it seem brighter. And I think that was honest.
I'm going to agree with you. Someone who watched it as well, the first thing I thought of as soon as I heard all of that, I went, wow, that is honest from someone who's basically the head of a corporate position.
Yes, I love him.
Yeah, and I don't know if you got this impression. I got the impression that he was quite angry about it, in himself, that he let this go
on.
Yeah, he talked about how he could have engaged Arcane sooner after the acquisition and tried to kind of get ahead of the problems that may have occurred and divert resources. If he knew earlier that they weren't going to hit that 60 frames per second, then maybe he could have had control over some resources to divert to them to try to get to that point before release. And he talks about that, how he doesn't want that to happen again. And so he talked about how he wants to engage these studios sooner in the process to try to find these flaws before it's too late.
Yeah. So I felt like there was something pretty telling that came out of this interview, and I'm not sure whether or not it was something that was picked up majorly by a lot of people. I think some people are starting to now understand it. Is the internal reviews process. Now, it was stated that either they have a team there at Microsoft, or they bring in a third-party team that will give projections of, or will write reviews for products that are currently ongoing. And it seems to be that Phil Spencer revealed that their projections on the reviews internally were 10 points higher than what they got from the critics themselves. Now, is this a normal process, or is this just something that Microsoft do themselves? Kylie, you look like you have something to say.
I have so much to say about that. Okay, so one thing that Microsoft did that was absolutely a marvel at the time. When they were in Halo 3 development, they put Halo 3 through so many test groups. They did this through, like middle-aged housewives, to kids, to working men. You know what I mean? Like they did all these demographic tests. Every time anything came up, they would tweak it. So Halo 3 is one of the most test group tested games. This is why it's so universally, it has such a universal appeal. They tested it so much until they got it to fit universally. That is amazing to me, because it's very difficult as a creator. You guys probably know this as, as writers, and stuff like that. It's very hard to please everyone. You can't. And when you go into some kind of creative field, like writing, because that's something we have in common, you can't please everyone. If you review a game, you may review it at a 1, and someone else is like, it's the greatest game that's ever happened, or vice versa. You've reviewed it at a 10, and someone's like, this is the crappiest game that ever happened. So for Xbox and Bungie to put Halo 3 through its paces so much through test groups, I never really understood why they didn't continue that practice with every in-house game. But by the sounds of it, they at least kept the internal review. But what happens is, if you use an in-house review team, which sounds like that's what they did, there's a loyalty there. They're not going to want to cross the line. Exactly, a bias. Yeah, exactly.
Unfortunately so, yeah.
Yeah, even if you try not to be, if they're paying your checks, you're still going to feel. And then if you know like Phil personally, you're just going to be like, oh, I want this game to do so well. You know what I mean? So what I think they started with Halo 3 was beautiful, but they kept it, sadly, because it kept in-house.
Yeah.
It created a bias, and that's what happened with this. Whereas I think if they had used an outsourced team, which, let's be honest here, if you're out there and you're a developer or anything listening to us, outsource your test groups. You don't want the bias. You want strangers, and I think that's where they messed up, is they used an in-house review team. Like, I'm not gonna lie. I'm gonna be straight up honest here. If Rapid Reviews suddenly started developing games, I would be like, this is the best game that was ever created.
Yeah, so would I.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we can't help that. That's an unconscious but also overt conscious, bias. We can't help it. We have a loyalty to Rapid Reviews, and I don't deny that. So that's kind of where they dropped the ball there, they should have outsourced it, But I still to this day, when I first read about the testing that Halo 3 went through, I just love that. Like, nobody puts that much care into a game, usually. They tested it with so many different groups. Not just, jocks who play Call of Duty, which is, usually it was Halo and Call of Duty back then, as you well know. No, it was everyone. Like, the middle-aged housewives, that really threw me for a loop. So I wish they kind of continued that, but not in-house. Like, outsourced it type thing. And I think they would have got a more honest answer, is my point.
Yeah. Brent, had you heard about
So
this process before? And if you had,
I
do you think it works?
I have a little bit of insider info, I guess.
Ooh.
Um,
Ooh.
right before the pandemic, I
Oh.
was invited to be on a panel, a testing panel for the new Forza game.
Ooh.
Specifically, I was selected because they knew of my visual disability.
Yep.
So I was
Okay.
to be with a group of people with visual disabilities. So it was
Oh,
specifically for
Microsoft
that.
got you. Yeah.
But then the pandemic happened and they had to cancel it.
Yeah.
Of
But
course.
I know that they were at least trying to do that. Now I can't say that they, would do that for just kind of general population, or if they,
Right.
just specifically wanted the accessibility angle, or if because of the pandemic it just ended up being internal only. I can't really answer any of that, but I do know that I was at least invited as an outsider specifically for that, being a Microsoft first-party studio game.
I see. I think that's such a good idea.
Also, during the pandemic, so probably 2020 or so, I got to remotely test
Ooh.
a Microsoft first-party game that came out last year. Unfortunately, due to the NDA, I cannot
Oh,
reveal what
right.
game it
Right.
is.
Okay.
Right.
But
Right. 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 Right.
that entailed a 2-day testing process, and at the end, I was asked to write a mock review for the game,
Right.
so I could see where that would be a normal thing to do with their internal testing, is to write these
That's
mock
very
reviews
cool.
and give a score so they could kind of predict things. So again, I know that they allowed this game in particular to have remote testing during the pandemic. Again, I don't know if that's continued where they offer those remote testing opportunities to the general population, or what has happened nowadays if they bring in outsiders or whatnot. But it sounds like for some reason Redfall did not get this treatment. And my intuition would say that it's because of the acquisition, that the game originally was not a first party game and didn't have
Right.
the resources to get these testing done. So
Right.
when they did acquire Bethesda and thus Arcane, the only resource they could really commit to it at that point was their internal testing service.
Yeah.
I think if,
I could believe that.
like what Phil said, if they had engaged earlier, that maybe they could have made that happen where they could bring in an outside group of people to do that. But I think this game in particular, it just didn't work out because of the timing of the acquisition and how far along the game was and everything.
Yeah. And do you feel like that's what he meant by the I wish I would have engaged them earlier?
I think that is part of it. I think he has control over some of those resources.
Yeah.
Or at least can divert them in certain areas that he feels like they need to be. So if Starfield's in a great place, maybe they don't need 5 testing teams. Maybe they'll give Forza an extra one because he thinks it needs a little bit extra testing, something like that. And it was just unfortunate that Redfall didn't get any of that treatment.
Okay, so we're going to come to the final part of this now. And
I have so many more things on my notes.
I know, but this one I feel like is probably an interesting one, and Kylie's been chomping at the bit to want to talk Starfield.
Yep.
So,
yes,
and it does feel like I've been a bit unnecessarily bashing Redfall here. So, I'm just going to finish that up by saying the day after Redfall was released, we got the announcement coming from Joe Screbbles, the Xbox Wire editor-in-chief, announcing the Xbox Showcase for June 11th, which also announced that Starfield Direct is happening immediately afterwards. Now, let's be honest, we all knew this was coming.
Yeah,
optics-wise,
the E3 press conference.
Optics-wise, is it the greatest move to do that a day after one of your biggest notable flops?
I don't know if they had a choice. I think they had already had the date set up. They're doing
Yeah.
a physical event in Los Angeles, so they had to book a theater and things. You just don't have a choice with that.
Did
I
they
mean,
do they have to book it when it's the Microsoft Theatre?
That's
Sorry, that's poor, I know.
that's a good question, Pete. I hadn't thought about before.
but people need time to make plans.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know what you
You can't
mean.
do
Yeah,
the physical event and things. So I don't know if they could have waited any longer. You know, it's slightly more than a month away.
yeah, I agree. Do you feel like they probably could have posted it a week before Redfall? Or, you know, it seems
If
to
they
me it
had all
seems a
the
bit weird. It's a day
ironed out,
after.
maybe. And it may have been because Redfall got delayed and they weren't expecting to
That's-
have this
Oh yes,
situation.
I would believe
of
that.
course. Yeah, that makes a bit more sense. So,
But
Kylie,
I want to talk Starfield, okay? Look.
look, let me ask you a question about
Okay.
this then, to get you
Yes.
into it.
Okay.
Does everything now for
Yeah.
Xbox in 2023 now absolutely
100%.
ride on Starfield completely?
It absolutely does, because Halo Infinite failed so badly. And then the small Rush whatever did
Hi-Fi
really
Rush.
Yeah, Hi-Fi Rush, and I did want to talk about that. You know, that was a surprise hit. Was it really a surprise hit though? You know, it did really
It's
well.
only a surprise.
Well, I mean, it definitely was.
It certainly was a hit.
Yeah. But I mean, with that as an exception, everything I think is riding on Starfield. That makes me nervous. We did a show on Starfield, way back, 125.
We did.
I think 125. I think, and I was very hesitant because full confession to our lovely listeners and watchers. I have a lot riding on Starfield. I want it to do well. That reveal trailer that they didn't energize me. That's not to say that it won't be great, because they took a year to extra. They took an extra year.
Mm-hmm.
Whew, that makes me very nervous though. Bethesda, as much as I love them, and I am a Bethesda girl, I really am. But I also know Bethesda is not consistent, and while their games are eventually great, and they don't launch well. They are bug riddled. Mostly that they're bug riddled, which can put a lot of people off. A lot of people, you know, it's kind of like the cyberpunk type thing, you know, like you pay so much for a game and you get it and it's full of bugs. You know, it may be a great game, but you can't see it for, you know, the forest for the trees. You know, you can't see it through all the bugs.
Yeah.
I remember the first time I bought Skyrim. The very first day I played Skyrim, my horse got stuck in the ground. And I was like, well, it's a Bethesda game, which is a really bad reputation to have. But I stuck with it, and Skyrim's great.
The only thing I would say about that, remember that was Bethesda being run by ZeniMax.
I mean, yes, this is true. And that kind of goes to what I'm saying. Starfield is everything. It's Bethesda and Microsoft's reputation on the line. I'm very worried, because the little bit that we've seen hasn't been great. And it needs to be great. I'm sorry, I'm being very perfectly honest here. It needs to be great. Because Todd Howard's in charge. And
I mean, technically, that's not true anymore. It would be Phil Spencer.
You
It's
are
Phil's
right.
in charge.
You're correct. You are correct. But Todd Howard still has his hand in it.
I think based on the conversations that we've had, it's pretty clear to see that Phil might be overseeing all of it, but he still leaves the teams, you know, running themselves essentially.
Yeah, and like this is supposed to push. Okay, so the games that have been released on Xbox X and S, as we know, have not pushed the technology to its furthest point. We know this. That has been stated. That's not me just being like, eh. It's been stated. I mean, freaking Outer Worlds came out on the Xbox S, X, whatever.
Yes.
And it's
It also came out on the Switch too.
yeah, and I love Outer Worlds as a game, but as graphics, it's terrible. It's really poor. So nothing's really come out that pushed it. Starfield is supposed to push it, but guess what? They're using that dadgum creation engine from Xbox 360 days that got upgraded for Xbone.
I mean, wasn't it originally used in Morrowind?
Yeah, and it's been upgraded. It's like I'm very nervous about it. So let me say this. I'm very nervous about it. But I also do believe that the entire, just everything with this generation, this console generation, Microsoft, is resting on Starfield's giant galaxy-sized shoulders. If they don't pull this off, I don't think they can recover. And I hate saying that, guys. I really do. I am a fangirl. So for a fangirl to say this about both Bethesda and Microsoft, if they don't pull this off, they're going to have to release a new console because it's done. It's done. This generation's done. I hate saying that. It makes me kind of nauseous.
Brent?
I have a little bit of a setup for my answer here.
Okay.
I have written down all the first-party games that have come out this year.
Okay, good.
In a few months leading up to the end of the year last year.
Good.
So the only thing that I'm confident will release later this year is actually the next expansion for Elder Scrolls Online.
Oh, right.
I'm still not convinced Starfield will make it.
Really?
We're going to see gameplay in June, but that's only a few months from its September release.
Which is a
and that
year.
Just seems like
that's a year after.
They're either not far enough along, or they're just trying to hide the whole development process. Which may be the case if you look at Hi-Fi Rush, where just no one knew that was even going to be a game, and it just kind of came out.
Yeah.
Maybe that's their new strategy. I don't know. But I'm still not confident that it's going to make the September release.
It worked for Rockstar. Let's not forget Red Dead Redemption 2. The first teaser was released 6 months before the game dropped. That was the teaser.
Yes.
And
but that's a completely different company.
I mean,
but you also to put it on the other hand, then they did the same thing with Fallout 4.
I know.
And Fallout 76.
That's what makes me so nervous.
And neither one of those are considered the best in the series.
There you go.
Fallout 4 is just
See where my concern is?
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
So otherwise, this year we might see Forza Motorsport.
Highly
that
doubtful.
Was slated for the spring.
It was, yeah.
Maybe they'll show it off in June, and it'll actually end up before the end of the year.
Oh dear.
But even if that's true, not everybody's going to play that. It is very much people who like racing games. You know, and the average gamer prefers the Forza or the Horizon games over the Motorsport games.
That's
so
true.
Even if it does come out this year and it's amazing, it's not going to get into a lot of people's hands. Unfortunately.
I agree.
Personally, I'm a huge Forza Motorsport fan. I'm very excited for it. But that doesn't mean it's really going to help the image of Xbox in any way.
Right.
Then we have Hellblade 2. Might possibly come out this year.
Don't think it's coming out this year.
But I'm not so sure. Yeah, we haven't seen much since that one gameplay segment. But at least we got to see that, and it gives me some hope that it might be ready this year.
It's strange though, because we saw the first showing of that when the Xbox
Years
Series
ago.
X was announced, and we haven't seen anything since.
That
I know they've been doing bits with the new engine. I think it's Unreal 5 they're using for it, aren't they?
Now, things that have come out this year, We have Ghostwire Tokyo, which I guess isn't really new, but it came to
Yeah.
Xbox.
New to Xbox, but
I-
it had been out on PS5
Yeah.
already.
Yeah, I've enjoyed playing it. I haven't
It is
gone
not.
through
It's
the
a
whole
good
game
game.
yet, but it's pretty enjoyable. We already talked about Hi-Fi Rush being probably the
That's surprising.
hit of Xbox so far this year.
Might be making some Game of the Year lists, possibly.
Could do.
We
could
have
do.
the GoldenEye remake, which was pretty drummed up, but you didn't really hear much about it after it
No,
came out.
You didn't at
I'm
all.
going to be honest, it flopped.
Yeah. We have Minecraft Legends, which I guess they're trying to flesh out the Minecraft universe, but I don't think the average Minecraft player wants
That's
to
the
play
thing.
an RTS, and
Exactly.
RTS players don't want to play a dumbed down RTS. So I'm not really sure what it's
a very narrow. That's a very narrow audience.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
From what I've heard about it, the download numbers have at least been decent for it, though.
I mean, it's good for what it is, but it is a very niche, very narrow.
It is, yeah. It's Minecraft for people who don't particularly like Minecraft. and
Right, I was gonna say, yeah.
Yeah.
Then we have Forza Horizon 5's Rally expansion came out, but again, I think that's a situation where so many people love Horizon because it doesn't feel like a racing game. So having an actual Rally expansion was not really the best choice, in my opinion. I think they should have
That's
gone
a good
with
point, actually.
the Lego and Hot Wheels and stuff that they've done in the past and had success with.
They've had the Hot Wheels expansion already for it, haven't
Yes,
they?
they had Hot Wheels in Forza Horizon 5, but
Yeah.
I just don't think Rally was appropriate for really trying to drum up interest.
No, I think the world that they had made a lot of sense that they would do that, but it's one of those things that I'm, as someone who likes the Horizon games, I
was gonna say
they're interesting because I'll play them on Game Pass, but I'm not going to pick up expansions for a game that I don't physically own.
And then Grounded has gotten quite a few updates already this year. And I know that that's been pretty popular, especially as like an experimental thing.
I didn't know it was still in beta. That was crazy to me.
No, it's now out of beta, isn't it?
Is it?
Okay.
No, it's full release now.
Full release, yeah. I think they're up to like 1.2 now.
That's so weird to me.
But if that continues throughout the year, it could end up being a pretty robust game by the end of the year.
Sure.
Will that really help Xbox in any way? I don't know. I don't think it's really the game. You don't think of Xbox and Grounded. You think of Xbox and Forza or Xbox and Starfield.
Yes.
Which is a real shame because it's Obsidian and Obsidian do great work.
I mean, and it's supposed to be a solid game. It just, I think, it's just my personal opinion, but I think when you linger in, let's say beta or whatever, I think that, and it's not Steam, I think that's very detrimental to your game.
It can be for some, yeah.
I do.
And then towards the end of last year, we saw Pentiment, which I enjoy, but I know not everyone does.
It's very
niche.
Very niche.
Yeah, not everybody's into that.
No,
I don't think that's really carrying anything. We had Deathloop. I think that was pretty well received.
But it wasn't really, it's not a first party game. Because,
exactly. It wasn't really new, and it wasn't really...
No, it's another one that suffers from the Ghostwire Tokyo problem, I think.
Exactly.
Yep, 100%.
Then we had As Dusk Falls back in the summer.
I don't remember.
It's another kind of experimental one. A lot of the games on this list in the past year have been very experimental.
I'll be honest, I forgot this even came out.
See? I had to look this stuff up. And then you have a couple of Forza Horizon 5 updates and Elder Scrolls Online updates. But if you're not already playing those, it's not really going to bring you in, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So, with all that said, it does kind of look like Starfield is the game to hold up Xbox this year. Unfortunately, competition is going to be tough. Because right now, Redfall was basically going to be the competition to Zelda. And that didn't go well.
No.
And then
week
this
and
fall,
a half
when we're
before
slated
Zelda as well.
is Spider-Man 2. So when Christmas time rolls around and kids are asking for games, I don't think they're going to be picking Starfield. I think they're going to be picking Spider-Man 2, to be honest.
I hate
Yeah.
to say it, but you're exactly
Unless
right.
Starfield ends up being amazing, but
Oh,
I'm just really
please.
not that confident that it can be.
I need it to be amazing for so
Yeah.
many
That's
reasons.
kind of the
It-
problem, though, is needing and wanting doesn't
I
mean it will
know.
be.
I can only
Now,
hope
that
it's.
said, Game Pass as a whole has also not been the best.
I know.
So I almost think Starfield is also going to be the deciding factor on people if people renew their Game Pass subscription.
Oh,
I'm gonna
actually, I
agree
was
with
going to say
that.
that. I think physical sales for Starfield won't be
Like-
massive, but Game Pass downloads will take it over the edge.
So lately they've been bringing out some older first-party games. So
Yeah.
nothing new, just older stuff, you know. I mean, there've been a lot of cloud games, so maybe that's helping in some regard. People want to play on mobile or whatever. They've
have
had some
enjoyed some.
Ubisoft games, which is interesting to me, considering Ubisoft Plus is now available on Xbox. So the fact that they actually have Ubisoft games on Game Pass is interesting. But most of their day one games have been quite lacking. Like,
Exactly.
even like the indie games.
Man.
Now they
that's
did get a
crazy.
few PC hits, Valheim, Loop Hero,
Well-
stuff like that, but it's usually too little, too late. You know,
Yeah.
those games can run on almost anything, so it's easy to just get them on Steam when they're hot, and you don't have to wait for them to be on Xbox.
I mean,
And
yeah.
mostly because Steam sales are ridiculous most of the time as well.
They've had some Japanese games, so they seem to be trying to kind of capture that market. And Ni no Kuni and Danganronpa, I think, is that what it's called?
Danganronpa.
Oh.
That's it. Yeah, they've had
I was
those.
like,
and,
isn't it Dragonropa? I don't know.
B-movie games, and but again, if you were into that kind of stuff, you probably had a PlayStation or a Switch to play them on. You didn't
right.
wait for Xbox.
No.
Again, I don't think that really helped. So really, the only things I can think of on Game Pass that have really been successful is Vampire Survivors.
Yes.
That was a pretty big
Which is
hit.
crazy big hit.
It's only a $5 game though, so I really don't know if it needed Game Pass to be successful.
Probably not, but
that was
it helps.
crazy. That to me was a surprise hit more than
Yes.
High
So
Fivers.
I do think that kind of helped Game Pass there for a little bit.
Yeah.
High on Life, I think, was good there until all the controversy started happening.
That's the thing. Like, I literally was so excited, and High on Life came out. I downloaded it day one, and then what was that? It wasn't that long afterwards. It was
only
was
like
arrested.
a week or two later.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, delete.
Yeah.
So I've never played it.
I didn't even download it.
I did, because I love that kind of stuff.
So the only other thing is the one that I put forward for Game of the Year, which was Hard Space Shipbreaker.
Oh, right, which I do want to play.
Personally, I'm still playing that on Game Pass.
I do want to play
almost
that.
a year later now. So I really think that Starfield is not only going to have to support Xbox, but also Game Pass.
Yeah, 100%.
This year, unfortunately.
Which is
even though Game Pass subs are up, 23 million or so was the last count. I don't think it's going to remain that after this kind of lull.
No, you might see some people deciding to end their subscriptions a little bit early. I'm not one of them because I'm quite happy with the service as a whole, but I know some people have already been calling out for Phil Spencer to be fired.
I don't get that.
Some people are saying, "Sod this! I don't want to play on Game Pass anymore." And you can't argue with them, really, can you? Because Xbox have had a few misses here and there. They haven't exactly been open about everything. And whilst Phil's coming out and doing damage control on the kind of funny game podcast, it still might not be enough for quite a lot of people to go, yeah, I'm siding with Xbox. Like, this is good. You've got your diehard fans like you guys, but even you two, you diehard fans, are feeling very jaded by the whole thing.
Even me, who is primarily an Xbox gamer, has been playing my Switch a whole lot more recently.
And see, I've been on mobile games. Now, I mean, when I say I've been on mobile games, a lot of them are Microsoft games.
Yeah.
but not all of them. I've really just been playing mobile. I haven't touched my X. I haven't logged on, like officially logged on,
Mm-hmm.
in months. And
Yeah.
I have a review I'm supposed to be doing.
I know. Funnily enough, like I actually turned my Xbox on for the first time in a month yesterday just to download updates for a game,
Oh
and
gosh.
was downloading Fallen Order. I was like, oh yeah, I've already downloaded it. I forgot it was already there.
Yeah, you need to play
I
that.
think I've
I know.
played more Xbox games, Game Pass games, just this weekend to get ready
Right.
for this podcast than I have
Yeah.
any
Like
time in the recent memory.
it's very like we're just in a new
I guess
era.
it's Hi-Fi Rush.
I mean,
Yeah.
if you think about it, like, okay, I only have a PS4. I don't have a PS5, and I have a Switch, but we know I don't play that.
No. Terribly.
Yeah, I know. But it's like I have been so jaded towards gaming in general. Now I say this, but I still game. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I am a gamer through and through. Like, I don't know if I'm gonna ever like meet someone in the future. They'll just have to understand I am a freaking gamer. I need my hours of gaming. Unfortunately, it's mostly been on mobile, which is very strange. But I haven't felt like I've not started that PS4 in months. My Xbox, I'll kind of sometimes sign in, like it's signed in right now,
Yeah, I
but
can see that.
like I don't think it's even online. I think I'm just signed in. You know what I
Mm.
mean? I check and see if there's updates or whatever, and then I'll go through Game Pass and see what's available.
Mm-hmm.
I usually don't like it, so then I'll just play on my iPad. And I don't think that I'm weird. I think that's kind of representative of a lot of us gamers lately.
Yep.
Maybe it's our age range. I don't know. No, I don't think it is. I think it's just we're all very, very jaded right now. The list of available games aren't great. The consoles aren't living up to their expectations. I still can't drop 500 pounds on a freaking PlayStation. I cannot bring myself to do that. Because I saw one the other day, and because if I'm gonna buy a PlayStation, I'm gonna buy it used. I'm sorry, that's just me. And I saw one in a like cash converters the other day, and it was like 545, and I was like,
Yes.
no, no, I'm not gonna drop that. I'm sorry. There's nothing there that's compelling me. I could get an Xbox S or
X, you mean?
X, whatever. But it's like, why? I can play everything I want to play right now. You know what I mean? Like, there's
And I just don't want to right now.
Yeah, I just don't. Like, I'm not feeling the kind of desire to do that. And stuff. And that's very disappointing. As a gamer, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, and you guys correct me. This is our listeners, our guests, and everyone. I just do not feel like there's a big selection out there. Whereas back in the day, I would lose myself in games. I think Red Dead Redemption is my last big game where I just hours, I would just lose myself in it.
Yeah.
I have not felt that. And I have Fallout 4. And it just, until I modded it, wasn't that great.
I actually don't think it's a lack of selection. There's like 500 different games on Game Pass Ultimate.
Yeah.
It's just none of them they're either older games that you've already played through.
Yes.
That you would enjoy playing more of, but you've already done it, so it's not like you really want to. Or, you're left with not much else. You've got Vampire Survivors and Hi-Fi Rush, and that's pretty much it.
That's exactly how I feel. Like, my selection is so, like, the last game I played, I think, on Game Pass was Subnautica 2. Okay, that's a really old game at this point.
I don't think it's even on Game Pass anymore.
See, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I don't feel the, like, draw. And I did panic and think, oh, it's because I'm an older gamer. But I have all the time in the world. I don't work a 9 to 5. I can do whatever the frick I want whenever I want. And I still don't feel this kind of like, this impetus to like, I need to play this game. You know what I mean? Like I said, most of my games are all on mobile now. It's just mobile gaming, which is disappointing because I really love console gaming. I do still play PC gaming every once in a while. When me and Pete do our meetings, we every Thursday or whatever, we do our meetings for the podcast, and I'll play Power Wash Simulator.
Yeah, always.
So I still love my Steam games. I kind of want to get a Steam Deck, but outside of that, I'm just mobile gaming 100%, which is disappointing.
Yeah, for me, it's been more of discovering old games. I have like over 1,000 digital games on my Xbox library, and I haven't played probably half of them.
Aww.
So that's mostly what I've been playing lately. It's like, hey, I remember buying this game. Why didn't I play it? Because I have nothing better to play on Game Pass. I may as well play it.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
And it's kind of been mostly what I've been doing.
Yeah.
Pete's been playing. I've seen Pete's been playing Resident Evil and Street Fighter.
Yeah, on Steam.
Yep, exactly.
Yes. Anyway, I think that's going to finish us off for this particular week. So I want to thank both the panelists. So, Brent, we'll start off with you. Do you want to let everyone know where they can make contact with you online, or if you want to give them out?
I guess pretty much all I got now is Discord and I guess Xbox Live. I'm Apophis on both of those. Apophis 1989 on Xbox, and I'm Apophis 1842. I don't get to pick my numbers on Discord. I think it's 1842.
No, they are changing that now though. At some point, I think. So we'll get.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'll link those in the show notes as well. So if anyone wants to add Brent on Xbox Live, go and do so. You can get some good games in him. So Kiley, do you want to let everyone know? Sorry.
Like I mentioned, I have plenty, so we'll find. I can find something to play with you.
I'm sure you can coax a few people to play Warframe.
But he's not playing Warframe.
Yeah.
See?
Oh, okay.
I'm Yu-Gi-Oh now.
Yep.
Oh, right. Okay. All right. Yu-Gi-Oh! It is then.
Yep.
Okay.
I paid attention. I
know. All right. I had a moment. Kiley, do you want to know where they can follow you?
Sure, but I do see Nana said question for Kiley.
Yes, I know. I think we pretty much covered it.
Okay, I was gonna say, how much faith do you have in Bethesda after Fallout 76? I will always be a Bethesda fangirl, but I don't have a lot of faith in them right now. But I still love them.
Yeah.
To be clear, Fallout 76 was a different team than what's making Starfield.
I mean, that is true. 100%. I mean, that's true. But I nuked my Twitter. I don't know if I have anything. And I'm about to nuke my Facebook.
Okay.
So you'll be like me.
Exactly. I mean, you can find me on Xbox as Kiley Yellick, but again, I haven't signed on in months. I will, though. I will. This is a temporary thing. I 100% believe it. But, I mean, if you want to see me do CrossFit, I'm over on Instagram at Kiley Yellick. If you just want to find me anywhere, I'm usually Kiley Yellick.
Okay.
And that's it. But Pete, what about you? Where can they find you?
Well, I'm the only one here that's still on Twitter, unfortunately, but that might go at some point. So you can find me online at Pete Beckett1 on Twitter. I'm also on Xbox Live, PlayStation Plus, or PlayStation Network, Switch. I'm not going to give those out. I don't want to play games with people too many times. I'm kidding. I will probably add those into the show notes at some point. But I wanted to finish on one final thought before I close this out. Remember, everything can be bad for Xbox right now. But remember, they did once release Sea of Thieves in a poor state. Look where that is now.
You know what? You ain't wrong. And Brent's got the t-shirt to prove it.
I know. Oh, I know.
I love Sea of Thieves. I do love Sea of Thieves.
Yes. With that said, we're going to close the show. So I hope you all had a good one, and we'll see you again next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, thanks for waving there, Kylie. I was expecting a bye.
I said bye.
Yeah,
I
it
think
was for
I said
our audio
bye.
listeners.
Did I say bye? I thought I said bye. Do you
No,
know?
you just waved at the camera.
I'm
No, thank you for your interactions. We really do appreciate it. I felt your question was kind of already covered, which is why I didn't come to it. But
Gotta
glad
I'm
take
Kylie
over
brought it up.
the chat
one and a
bag.
half bottles of wine in.
Yes. Yeah,
Maybe I'll
no,
fall
but great
asleep.
episode. So thank you very much, mate. Appreciate it. Hope the change wasn't too much on you, Kylie. You can go back to normal next week for the rest of the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, like I'm a 1.5 bottles of wine in, so I kind of handled it. I didn't rebel too much. I did good.
Not as much as I was expecting you
I
to, if I'm honest.
I'm
No,
very
I think I got through
rebellious.
everything on my notes. I had to kind of stuff a bunch of it in there at the end.
Yeah.
Look,
Yeah.
there was some notes that I had I never got to, so
I will say this, like I said it in the show, but I really do feel this. Like I love Phil Spencer as a person. I think he and I would chill so well. Like we would drink wine. He would probably drink beer, but we just have a cool chill Friday. Um but he does need to kind of get a better backbone.
I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying
I
anything.
You
was
can
kind of
say
hoping
it.
that after all these mergers,
I know.
that he would have more of a team and could kind of delegate a little,
Yeah.
because,
Yeah.
seen pictures of like the round table, they got like Rod Ferguson from
Yeah.
the Coalition and
Uh-huh.
Todd Howard from Bethesda, and they're kind
Yeah.
of all, I don't even know. It's not like the board per se, but
No, it's more like a think
it's kind of the
tank.
team in control of
Yeah.
Xbox Game Studios, and Phil Spencer kind of being the face of it. But
Yeah.
you'd think with all that kind of creative power that they could
That's
kind
the
of
thing.
share responsibility a little.
It's a great team. I don't know what they're thinking.
I know that should be your brain trust at Xbox. They should be your leaders. The
I
ones that
know.
are steering the ship. But there doesn't feel like anyone's
I
really
think
steering the ship properly at the moment.
I think what happened, and obviously I don't know. I can only base on my own personal experience with running a business. I think you can get so mired in the upper echelons, the making the money,
Yeah.
detached from the people.
Sure.
And I think that's what's happened. They're very, very detached, Maybe, I don't know. But oof, I hope Starfield's great. I do. I'm going to take 3 days off when Starfield drops. Will it drop this year? Who knows?
Well, according to one Mr. Brent, no, no, it is
Oh,
not.
I mean,
I'm skeptical.
Yeah,
it was supposed to drop last
We've
year in
yet to see
November.
gameplay.
So
yeah. I'll be honest. I'm a bit worried about it myself.
Pete's from day one has been like gameplay. Now
I have,
Pete,
and I saw the game. I saw bits and bobs
yeah,
of
you
gameplay, and
liked.
I was like, I'm alright with this.
Yeah, like he liked that trailer that came out with the gameplay, but since nothing else has come out, and see, I was a little bit skeptical, which was surprising because you would think that our roles would be reversed.
Yeah.
But I was actually a little bit skeptical, because my experience with Fallout 4, which I was looking so forward to. I really was. And as I've stated before in previous episodes, I've modded it to a game that I love, but I had to mod it to become
Yeah, it's
that.
modded to the point that it's beyond
Yeah,
recognition.
you wouldn't recognize it as a Fallout game. Well, actually, you would recognize it as a Fallout game because the previous incarnation was so far from a Fallout 4 game or a Fallout game.
You've modded it to be the Fallout game that should have been.
Yes, exactly. And I'm very nervous about it. Oh, but it's like, to me, it's like such a slam dunk because it's outer space, which I freaking love, and Bethesda. So we've got like Fallout, Skyrim, and outer space.
I like that they described it as NASA punk.
I love it. I love it so much. Oh, they can't mess this up. I will die. But I do hope
When I say gameplay, I want to see like a demo, someone playing it through a demo of gameplay, not just gameplay trailers.
I know.
Agree.
I have to, yeah, okay, like last year, Pete kept harping on gameplay, and I just kind of rolled my eyes.
Now you can understand why I keep saying it.
Well, now that we're so close to launch, Pete's not wrong. I would like to see some actual gameplay as opposed to the gameplay trailer, as Brent was saying.
Yeah.
Because the little
trailers
bit
can be doctored.
They can be, and I know, like in the UK, they have to say, if they've been doctored or not, which I do love about the UK.
It's about time.
Yeah, it's like in-game footage or whatever. There's a disclaimer that they don't have to do in the US, which is quite nice. But having said that, I would like to see some actual gameplay. I don't know. I'm so nervous about it because it's so like, I don't know. To reiterate what we were talking about earlier, audience, I do believe that Microsoft and Bethesda's reputation are kind of resting on...
And Game Pass.
Yeah, I do. Was it November that it's supposed to be released this year?
September was what I read.
Oh, September? Okay, I knew it was around that area. Oh, goodness.
Early September, and the showcase is early June.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
so that's
only
3 months between.
Peter, are we going to live stream that? Probably.
I'm going to hope to try and do it. It just depends on, obviously.
Yeah.
The only issue is it's supposed to be at 5 o'clock GMT, which, 5 o'clock GMT means I'm working.
Yeah, exactly. If we can't, we can't. Get to that. So it's fine. But holy crap, man. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to say this for our viewers. Well, yeah, viewers, because our listeners are gone now. I want a game that I can lose myself in. I have not had one in years. I do honestly think that Red Dead Redemption 2 was the last game that I just completely lost myself in. If I'm honest. I mean, I have to go back and look at my library, but I think so. And holy crap, would I love to have that experience again. I love gaming so much.
Obviously, you have a weekly podcast about it.
I know. Like, I was thinking of this the other day. I was like, Kiley, you really haven't gamed. Like I said, I've been mobile gaming, and that's it. And I was like, you haven't console gamed, and you haven't PC gamed in so long. And I was like, but you know what? There's nothing there. It's not because I don't want to. In fact, there's a game on Steam that I kind of want to try called Green Hill. But it's been out for like it's like been out since 2018, I think. And it's like, is there anything new? I mean, maybe The Longest Drive. I could probably stream that and it would be very dorky and lame. But I mean, outside of that, there is just nothing.
You should have done what I did when I was invited on for the show. I was like, all right, I've got homework to do. I got to play Redfall and Minecraft Legends.
But I knew Redfall. I knew I wasn't going to like Redfall. I knew it when we watched the trailer.
But this is the problem, right, Brent? So unfortunately we didn't get a chance to meet this week to talk about everything that was going on, which is why Kiley kind of got blindsided by the fact that I was running everything.
I had a bad week anyway.
Which is why I haven't wanted to bother you too much.
Yeah.
It's been tough for you, I understand that.
It has been, yeah.
Not even I wanted to really download Redfall, and I was actually genuinely excited about it, but even I didn't get the chance to do so.
I remember watching that, that episode where it debuted, and Pete was more optimistic because you wanted
really optimistic.
Yeah, wanted a multiplayer that we could all get involved in.
I think that's the issue, is that I wanted a game for us like we did with Back 4 Blood, even during that review period. I really wanted something like that again. and I
And
felt like we were missing out on it. But there hasn't been a game that's captivated us enough to want to do it anymore.
100%.
And the point that I was going to make about that is, good luck assigning Kylie homework. She hardly ever does it. She will literally approach me and say that the dog ate my homework, knowing full well I know she doesn't have a dog.
Look, I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm terrible at it. I need a good game, and like I'm open to any suggestions for our listeners out, our watchers out there. Um, I will always be a
I
gamer.
gave you 2
What
on
is
this
it?
episode.
What'd you say?
I gave 2 on this episode.
Yeah, I
Hi-Fi
know.
Rush and
I
Hard
know.
Space Shipbreaker.
Yeah.
I do want to play Hard Space Shipbreaker. I think I saw it on Steam, which is probably where I'll play it more than
likely,
anyway.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's on Game Pass. You can try it on Game Pass before you buy it on Steam.
Well, I did look
Is
it
it on
up.
Game Pass on Steam? Or Game
No,
Pass on
I
PC?
said you could. Well, yeah, it's on Game Pass for PC as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I mean,
I looked it up. I
I
looked it
wouldn't
up.
just go buy it before you try it on Game Pass.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah, of course.
I looked it up after Brent was on the show, and it is something that I would be like. I love those types of games.
Yeah.
I'm super nerdy, but like
The physics engine on that game is ridiculous.
yeah, like it's very very cool. I'll tell you what I'm really interested in, and you won't be surprised by this, but that's Dredge.
Oh, Dredge does look pretty good, actually.
It's right up my alley. But I feel guilty because I'm supposed to be playing Destiny, but Destiny breaks my heart right now, so I can't. So I'm like, what is it? Decision paralysis, I think is the phrase. Yeah, because I know what I want, but I can't make the decision because I feel guilty because of this other thing, and it's like,
I figured out a way to kind of deal with that.
Oh.
I have. I think I used OneNote, the Microsoft version.
Oh yeah,
of the
OneNote.
kind of thing. And I have a list of games that I should play and a list of like movies and TV shows to watch. So if I ever get in that kind of situation, I just go to the top of the list and I do that one.
I'll tell y'all what. Now, I think I said this last week, possibly, but I'll say it again. I am rewatching House. If you've not watched, I think it's House MD. I'm not sure, which is an American TV show, but it's based on Sherlock Holmes, which I absolutely adore. Sherlock Holmes, the books, and obviously the TV show.
They just came out with a new Sherlock Holmes game.
I know, I love those games. They're so funny. Like, they're not intentionally funny, but they come across as funny. They're very good games. I forgot the studio that develops them, but
Crowdwares.
that's it. Yeah. They're really good games. I've played the early ones. I haven't played the latest ones. But if you're looking,
Basically the same, but moved to an open world.
Yeah, it's very strange. It's very strange, but I'm there for it. But if you're looking for something that's very entertainment wise or whatever, House is really, the first 2 seasons are a bit problematic in that they're from a different time period. There's a little bit of offensive stuff in there. It depends on how sensitive you are. I'm not very sensitive, so I'm fine with it. But I'm now in the 3rd season, which is where it bam, really kicks off. It's so amazing, and it's doing it right for me. But outside of that, I'm so jaded towards movies, television, and games right now. I don't know if that's just me. I just feel very What?
Can I tell you that I saw Guardians 3 yesterday?
Did you really? Okay, how was it?
Can I tell you to wait for the next episode?
Oh.
I can't even say if you recommend it or not.
Because I love Guardians, but the trailers haven't been great, Pete. They haven't been great.
Okay, it's got some highlights.
Okay.
It's got some good moments. I'd say, without going in full in depth, Rocket is the absolute MVP of the entire movie.
Well, apparently James Gunn said that Rocket's been the protagonist since day one.
But he's not really in it for very long, which I was a bit disappointed about.
Uh-oh.
He gets a bit of screen time, but like he's not really involved in the story that much. Drax is wonderful. Dave Bautista has really grown into that character. He is an absolute, absolutely brilliant.
It's autistic coded, so I love him.
Also, it's a very angry movie at times. It's very angry.
But I get that.
No, so do I. Like, I understand it completely.
Spend the money to go see it in the theater or wait for Disney Plus?
There you go.
100% wait for Disney Plus.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
That's all I needed.
Okay.
100%. And this is chasing off the fact that I saw Mario for a second time. And the only film I've ever seen in cinema more than once.
Oh, really? Again, I've seen Deadpool many times in the theater. Okay, here's my 3 most anticipated movies, and you're gonna laugh, and I don't care.
Deadpool 3.
Deadpool 3.
Deadpool 3.
Deadpool 3 is definitely that one. Oppenheimer and Barbie.
Oh, God, yeah.
I do want to see Barbie because I don't think it's... Like, I didn't play with Barbies as a kid, so don't think I'm like, oh, she's a girl. She's totally into Barbie. This is a subversion of the Barbie trope, and I'm there for it. Plus, I love Margot Robbie. I think she's the most beautiful actress right now.
I'm not repeating out loud what I told you before.
Yes. But, I mean, I definitely want to see that. And obviously, I want to see Oppenheimer, not just because it's Cillian Murphy, who is, like, the finest man alive.
And also Cillian Murphy, who works with frigging Christopher Nolan on everything.
Did you see he showed up in the tabloids the other day because he was, like, peeing on a street? I was like, I love you, Cillian Murphy.
Brilliant.
He got drunk.
How was the coronation?
Huh? What'd you say?
I watched probably about 10 minutes of it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. I
watched the procession coming from the coronation back to Windsor Castle.
Do you want to know an American's opinion who lives in the UK?
Go for it.
Okay, now remember, I just want our viewers to understand I am American. Yes, I'm in the UK.
Wow, really? We would
I know.
Guessed.
But this is important. I will be, becoming a citizen this year. But I am a born and bred American. I hated every second of that. Because all I can see, I try to respect cultures. I do. And I do respect that this is a monarchy. And, there is a respect there. But the jewels in the crown alone could feed so many people. I was just like, I tried to detract myself, because as probably no one knows, I'm very comfortable in life, which means I associate with a certain level of people who might be in the government that I can't talk about. They love the royals. They do things that I can't even imagine.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Like taking pictures with the Clintons last week when they were here. It's a world that I have a toe in, but I'm not actually part of. So I have to be very measured in my, response. So with them, I'm like, oh, it's very good to see your traditions happen. And they were like thrilled. They loved every second of it. But inside, I'm like, how many poor people could that feed? Like, this is bunk. And why do these people think that they're better than me? Just because they were born, see, my Americanness comes out. I'm just like, I'm like, wow, I'm really American. I'm very American sometimes. But I did watch it.
Do you want to know what an English person thought of it?
Okay, yes. Pete's the authentic English person.
A Look, I understand the importance it has to the country. I
Mm-hmm.
understand all of that. You know,
It does. It really does.
I honestly would rather have a monarch than a republic. You know,
I mean, that's the
I-
discussion currently. You know,
and I believe that we are better for being a monarchy.
a lot of
It
people do
does,
believe that.
you know, for some people they don't, but I understand that the monarchy is there to help govern the country. They have the overseeing right over any laws that are passed, and thank God for that, because I would not want any bloody politician to have that overall power,
Mm-hmm.
because I don't trust them in this country, whether that be Labour or
Oh.
Conservative. I couldn't care
Oh.
less.
Don't get me started on. Oof.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Politics-wise, I'm not getting into that either. But I felt it was a spectacle, to say the least, because it's something I probably will only ever see one more time in my lifetime.
No.
And it's quite interesting to actually witness that, considering I never thought it would really happen.
See, the people I'm associated with that are very strong monarchists, that's what they said. They were very pleased and privileged to be able to witness this, because they were they born? They weren't quite born when the last one happened. They were born right after it. So we're still dealing with pensioners, as they're called over here. But not quite, like they didn't see the previous thing. So they were very touched and very, you know, they loved this in the pageantry. They're very, very proud of their country. And I can't, like, I will never detract from an American or a UK or whatever who's very proud of their country. That's great. I don't have an allegiance to a country.
Not yet, anyway.
Yeah, not yet. I mean, when I do take my oath, I will have to.
We don't do that sort of thing over here. We don't stand next to a Bible and go, "I swear allegiance to the flag."
I literally have to say, I'm not kidding, Pete. When I take my oath next year, I have to say that I devote myself to king and country.
Oh man, you missed out by a couple of years where it could have been queen and country.
I know. No, it has to be king and country this time. But having said all
patriarchy.
that, like, there is an element of that I do enjoy pageantry. You know, I do enjoy all that kind of stuff. So it's very cool to kind of see this, you know, type of thing. But I am American. And then when they play the what you guys call, I think, the national anthem, which is national anthem.
Is.
We call it "My Country 'Tis of Thee." You guys call it "God Save the," I guess, King now, but God Save
the King, God Save the Queen, whatever you know.
And
whoever stands on the throne.
When they were playing it, and I was thinking the words of "My Country 'Tis of Thee," I was like, I'm very American. Like, I can't, like, but I love that people are proud of their country.
Yeah.
Like, I do support that.
So do I. I'm gonna find it very interesting next year when you decide to do that. You know, I pledge myself to king and country.
No, it's king and country. I have to say the words, and I have to mean them.
Under your breath, like,
I have to mean them because, like, on the paperwork, it literally asks you, you know, like, are you willing to do, you know, all, you know, fight for
whatever is necessary to support your country.
And it's like, okay, oh goodness. Now, for our listeners and our watchers, I will be a dual citizen. I won't be, you know, like, preference over one or the other. So.
No, you're not renouncing your American.
Yeah, look there. That's what my passport looks like right now. See, what's so funny, I know we need to wrap this up, but what's so funny is when I went to Italy. So for our watchers who may not know, the UK disengaged from the European Union.
Yes, also known as Brexit.
Brexit, yeah, it's very kind of probably a strange thought process.
Essentially, the long and the short of it was there was a quibble, let's say, that free market trade, single unionship,
Right.
whether or not we wanted to be dictated by a unelected government,
Brussels.
let's say.
Right. And Northern Ireland gets the best of both worlds. Anyway, but that's not the point. The point is, so they've made all these like separate lines for passports or whatever. So when I went to Italy, they had EU, non-EU, and then just US. And
They do
even
that
though,
most places in Europe now.
well, even though I've lived in the UK for like my entire life at this point, I've actually think I've lived in the UK longer than I did in the US, which is crazy to think about. Because
Sure about that?
yeah, I arrived here very young. I've been here 12 years.
And I'm not saying how old.
crazy.
That's definitely don't.
Okay, I'm not quite there, but
No, not quite there yet, but you'll get
but I
there.
will be. Yeah, I'm approaching longer here. Oh, that's weird. But my passport obviously is still a U.S. passport for obvious reasons. Until next year, which will be UK passport. And the U.S. line had a whole separate line. It was completely empty. Like the EU line was backed up, the non-EU line was backed up, the U.S. line was empty. So I just like whoop.
All right for some.
Yeah. So yeah, because she like stopped me, like the lady in charge stopped me. She's like, oh, non-EU or you, and I was like USA, and she's like, oh, come this way. I was like, okay.
Got the red carpet.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Like,
exactly.
Come this way,
Okay.
Here you go.
Stamp my passport.
Look,
and everything.
America owns the world. Better make sure that we suck up to them.
So, bottom line is, I will be proud to have both passports, and I might like what you guys don't know, which you might know because I've talked about it. I actually already have dual citizenship. I'm a Canadian citizen and a U.S. citizen. And then
nice.
next year I'll be a UK citizen. Now, not all countries recognize dual citizenship, but
we definitely do.
yeah, UK does. So I'll be like I have to pick two, which is
Funny
fine.
enough, I see it all the time at work.
Oh,
it
that's
says
right.
On one of my screens, it says nationality and says UK and other.
Yep, and other. Oh, great. But yeah. Oh my gosh. And then I'm gonna try and buy a house in Italy. So that'll be fun.
Of course you will.
I have to do it. I can only do it when I'm a UK citizen. A US citizen can't buy a house in Italy.
Because it's EU regulations.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes no sense considering we voted to leave.
Yeah. But when I get an Italian house, everybody come party with me.
Yeah. Less wine, clearly.
Yep. But anyway, we have really gone on, but I've really enjoyed this. I've had a very rough week. It's just a little personal blip that will pass.
I know. You'll be
Yeah, Pete knows all about it. But anyway, this has been so enjoyable. I have really enjoyed. Oh goodness. Nana says you touched Kiley deep political speak nerve.
Yes,
don't get me started on politics. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, let's not.
It's my favorite subject.
Let's
But it's been very enjoyable. We've enjoyed this very much. It's been fun having Pete in charge.
I was going to say, how did it feel being the other side?
I think I did really well. I behaved myself because I'm very rebellious and I don't like people trying to control me. But Pete
I felt you were fine.
Pete did really well. And it's always fun to have Brent on the show.
Yes.
He always offers insight and he's always got great speeches.
Yes. And Brent was well on board when I said, we're going to talk about Eck-Box. He was like, say no more, I'm in.
Oh my gosh, do you realize what I didn't do?
Which was?
I drank a lot. I forgot to put Brent's name on the freaking... the thing.
Oh, for God's sakes.
Brent, I'm so sorry. Let's say Brent's name 100 times. Brent.
I think it's okay.
I mean, for Christ's sakes, like, at this rate, it's not going to come back.
You introduced me at least.
I can't believe I did that.
At least that.
Okay.
It's fine.
Just
That
for
episode
our-
wasn't so much about speeches. It was more about all my notes and homework.
You did
No,
very
I
well.
appreciate the homework. I
Wait,
do.
what is that? Was that one of those like smart notebooks?
I think so.
Yeah, it's like a digital notepad. So there's just a
those
button here,
thing, yeah.
and you just push the
What?
button, and it.
Nice.
Yep, all goes in.
Oh, that's so cool.
Oh God, you've enticed Kylie. She's gonna buy one now. She's
Well,
gonna
see-
show it off on next week's show.
We'll see. No, like I want to talk about this.
I like this one because it has magnets on the back, so you can
Nice.
just kind of put it in the fridge, or when I go on cruises, since there's metal everywhere, just stick it to the wall.
Nice.
Now that's very cool. See, when I was in Italy, the Moschine people are Italian based, and Moschine is like a very big deal with nerds. But they've got a smart notebook, but I've never done that before. So I bought like just their basic normal paper one. And I wanted to do some research or whatever. But these smart like tablets like Brent has and these smart things.
I mean, all this is a notepad. You just put notes on it and you press a button to delete it all. That's all it does.
That's so
Cool.
crazy to me.
Still cool though.
It's very
Yeah,
cool.
It's very useful.
I really like that.
It's on paper.
I
Good
don't
for the
take.
environment.
Yeah, exactly. See, I don't take notes as much as I should. But that's cool.
Yeah.
I might have
Right,
to
are we
do
closing? We finished?
Yeah, we're closing because I'll just be here forever, and we're like
I
at
know,
3
I've been
hours
sitting
now.
here needing to pee for about
I'm
15 minutes.
Sorry, Pete. Okay, let me finish my wine.
No, you're good. You're good.
I still have one more drink. Hold on.
I will kill you.
Let me drink this last drink. But
Good.
okay, when I came down here, Krusty was streaming, so he's probably not streaming now. But I'm gonna go watch his stream.
Okay.
But anyway, we want to thank everyone for joining us. Nana, thank you so much for being in the chat. That's amazing.
We very much appreciate it. Sorry we didn't get to your points, but yeah, it was
We
a
got
very
to some of
heavy
them.
discussion. Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Inadvertently, but yeah, it was a very heavy discussion we were having. So
Very cool. And of course, always we thank Brent for being our special guest today. He's always amazing. I can't believe, I'm so sorry, Brent, I didn't put your name on the thingy, the graphics. I feel so bad about that. But I am awfully, wow, 1.5 bottles in.
Jesus Christ, it always shocks me every week.
I know. I've had a
This
really
is probably
bad
why
week.
you should host a show so you don't drink as much.
I don't know. I probably would have drank as much this week because I had a bad week. But anyway, we thank you so much for joining us.
Thank
We
you.
will see you and talk to you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Goodbye.